see my balls.
What?
You want this thing like, you want this right
I'm not
here?
trying to prevent
In the
you from
shot?
being in the shot, but you want your balls in the shot?
Like it's just my neck above.
If your balls were big enough, you could see them around the canister.
You gotta grow, dude.
Is this live? Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
You gotta grow. I think you just hit it.
You can take it down now.
I don't like this like stealth live
All right,
launch.
all right. I just wanted to show the kernel.
We'll bring it back up.
The kernel.
Eric, you missed movie night.
Yeah, dude. I love Godzilla, and I miss Godzilla.
-1.
So how was it, guys? We did a movie night.
I feel like I reacted how you reacted to Dune 2.
Oh, I kind of lost it a little bit.
Well, I didn't start yelling or anything,
Yeah,
but I
started doing push-ups.
I mean, most of the room, I think pretty much everyone was like, eh.
So on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, it's got like a very high
90.
score.
It's got like
8%.
105.
It's like the high score ever.
98% audience
Best picture
and
picture ever
critics.
made.
in Japan.
So,
I felt like I got rugged.
so Godzilla movies are typically pretty predictable, right? Like you see a big fucking lizard come out of the ocean.
Yep.
Check.
Fuck shit up.
Check.
Check.
But
Okay, so-
the destruction on this movie, 10 out of 10. Just maximum destruction.
So what were you guys like longing for?
I don't know. It was the unknown of like what could make a 98 out of 100.
I don't know.
We were waiting for your post-movie rant, though.
Yeah, like where am I to like be mad about this?
Yeah, just start flipping over tables.
The movie was so funny. Like Godzilla just shot a laser beam out of his mouth, and there's no explanation.
There's no explanation for anything.
He's
in this
just like
movie.
his scales just go, and he just
Well, you guys know that historically has like breathed like a little fire thing.
yeah. But this was the fucking
He had a
nuclear laser
He had a
beam.
built-in nuclear laser.
He just like opened his mouth and just nuked shit straight on.
And there were so many holes in
And
the
they didn't,
plot.
like-
At one point, I was remember like we were like almost done, and there was like this huge hole in the plot, and I was going to mention. I was like, well, there was like 19.
There
other
were some
holes
plot holes, you know.
that came before that one, so I'm not even going to bother.
And they never
So,
explained like the new feature of Godzilla, like the
No.
fact that he like
Didn't
shoots
explain
lasers
anything.
now.
No, because it takes place like it's in post-World War II, and they kind of follow like a character throughout, and the family, and like his friends, and the like local community there. It's not like Godzilla based. Godzilla just shows up like 4 or 5 times, fuck shit up.
I do kind of like how they don't like hit you over the head with stuff and explain it, right? Like they just showed a cutaway of us doing some nuclear testing on Bikini Island, and they're like, "Yeah, you got it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." This lizard got nuked, and now he's Godzilla. Got it.
I'm surprised they haven't done like an origin story of Godzilla. Like,
I assumed that was it.
yeah, okay, well,
Well, now we have to do the origin story of the little baby Godzilla.
Right, like
I guess,
teenager
before he
Godzilla.
became, yeah.
Wait, you
That's
guys
true.
do movie night?
Isn't that cute?
Bunch of pathetic losers.
You were there, bro.
Friday nights
pretty
used
cute.
to be very different.
was it only
yeah. Very
guys?
different.
Was it only guys
No.
in the
No,
audience?
the wags attend.
The wags are there, and they left as per usual.
Did
To
they
do witchcraft.
Oh, they didn't even like finish the movie.
Remember
They
last
didn't
time
even
when they
start
did
the
witchcraft?
movie.
Yeah, yeah.
In the other room.
Yeah, they're
They're
playing
like, we'll
Ouija
take
boards.
this-
Like,
Two
are you
bottles
guys
of-
playing Ouija board over there?
2 bottles of wine in the Ouija board and go in the next room.
Yeah. So much gossip.
Godzilla Minus One wasn't the best selection for.
It's not women
No.
friendly, really.
Yeah.
Nothing we watch is going to be like
I mean, yeah.
But I think movie nights are kind of underrated. Like that's a pretty fun thing to have going on.
It's a good new tradition. I like this.
I like
song.
it.
Yaniv
a
laid
lot.
out
I'm
the
a
spread.
big
The
So
spread is
Emma
incredible.
laid out the spread.
The
It
spread was
amazing.
even better this time.
I saw. I think it was your.
Did a demo video.
Yeah, your demo video of like
Yeah.
she had like printouts of like the signature drink that she
Yeah.
made for the evening.
Oh, there was a Godzilla cocktail.
Yeah.
Shit was strong.
It's like a wedding. It's amazing.
Godzilla cocktail, huge charcuterie spread,
we're adulting way too
multiple.
hard now.
I love it.
This is
I
like-
love it so
like
much.
In bed by
Yeah.
11.
Yeah, it was a late night
It was
actually.
a custom cocktail.
Yeah, what was the-
That's
what-
so lit?
What was the groom's drink?
You've been on this wavelength, like you've been on this tip for years. We're just catching up, dude.
Steven's born for this.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh my God, you got a comment about the lights. Where are they? The funny thing is, they're on.
They're on.
But he can't
I
see
know.
them.
What?
Well,
Oh, that is like the stake into Steven's heart right now.
Damn.
Look.
we've been like going back and forth
I have
on
put
this.
in a tech request on the lights. They're going to send us new ones. The problem is
Yours looks good.
if you turn the intensity over like 35, they shut off.
You sure it's the lights, or is it just me that makes it look good?
Did you get that invoice
You're a
approved?
beacon. You're a beacon of hope.
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna live on the edge. I'm gonna pump them up to like 43.
Dude, that's wow.
Yeah, they're all
I
controllable
know.
from Steven's phone. So
I got them right here.
Yeah, if you got a light
Centralized.
complaint, DM Steven.
You will notice there is a faint glow behind me. Watch, if I do that, it's gone. It's gone.
this is a true dictatorship.
You know.
All right, guys, let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to the Alfalfa podcast. We are live on YouTube, as we are every Wednesday at 5 p.m. PST. Thank you for joining us. What's up to everyone in the chat? We got an OG chat in here. I saw Hookem, Basil was in there, Max is in there, Pilgart, False, Alfredo Bandito, Nefarious Sausage.
Oh, I love
Tunsky.
Nefarious Sausage.
Tom.
It's the best name.
Tom, sorry I missed you last week. hanging out. Miss
Where's
you,
our
bud.
friend that started the Shaw? What was his handle?
Who did start that? I don't
It
remember.
was like something like, 517 South Side.
Oh, it was Southside.
Is it South Side?
And then he like started
Where
talking,
are you at, South
talking
Side?
shit like real hot out of the gates.
We got Eric,
I
the
love
Shaw,
that guy.
Steven, Nick. Like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe.
El Frito Bandito.
And share the episode if you like today's episode. We've been noticing that's been helping us grow, see it in the stats. So appreciate you guys for sharing the pod. All links are at alfalfapod.com. You can support the pod in a few different ways. You can go to streamlabs.com/alfalfapod or use the super chat on YouTube. Any donations, the comment goes up on the screen. I think even any donations over $69, there's like a very dangerous text to speech.
Whoa! You like implemented something new and cool.
Yeah, very
Fun.
dangerous with this crowd.
Fun.
And then check out the on-chain collectibles pods.media/alfalfa. Collect them all. All right, we have like a very special alcohol that was gifted to us today by
Yeah.
a listener and a friend.
Bobby.
Bob. Bob sent us quite the expensive bottle of whiskey here. Who can do it justice?
The Colonel. Colonel E.H. Taylor's small batch. I think it's one of the best bourbons.
This is Bob's favorite, and he's like
Bob's
He's
favorite.
a bourbon goat.
He's the one that lectured us that one episode when we were talking about various bourbons and wrote in. I think we even brought it up on the pod and was like, all right. He recorded a loom for us, remember?
Yeah, he did.
Explaining.
He sent us a little video.
Like, you guys don't know your bourbon. Let me teach you a thing or two. So big thank you to Bob. Definitely an incredible gift. And we should also mention why, in addition to being friends and him being part of our lives and a listener, he did very well with Coinbase.
Coinbase calls.
Coinbase calls. So this was a thank you for the Coinbase calls.
Congrats, Bob, on
So,
those
yeah,
calls.
congrats on that.
Cheers.
Yeah.
All right, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, ZBiotics, as always. So check out zbiotics.com/alfalfa, the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It's the drink you take before you start drinking, so you don't have a shitty morning. We had ZBiotics on the platter again at movie night. So you take the ZBiotics and then move over to the wine glass station or the Godzilla cocktail station. And
It's
save
just like a platter of Z-Biotics.
yeah, you just go through the funnel.
Ah, that is so cool.
It's a nice touch.
It's a great touch.
Yeah.
Any
Uh,
party, you should have like a little gift bag with like Z-Biotics in it.
Yeah. So
Indeed.
It's
if
a pretty
you,
rich move, just having a whole tray of Zbiotics.
We're there.
applaud
We're
it.
there, though.
I applaud it.
we've made it this far, guys. So yeah, go to zbiotics.com/alfalfa. Use the code alfalfa to get 15% off and support the pod. It helps us out. And yeah, they have a money back guarantee. So if it doesn't work for you, you can get your money back. And thanks ZBiotics for supporting the pod.
This is pretty good. What do you
It's,
got?
it's smooth.
I really want to make an old fashioned.
No, I don't think this is the.
No, it's like too good.
is the
for an
one you
old-fashioned.
No,
Don't.
nothing is too good for an old
Yeah,
fashioned.
that's true. You can put some rich shit in there.
Nothing is
Yeah.
too good for an old fashioned. All you're really doing is accentuating
Have
it.
you,
You
ever
are
ordered
removing
one of
the.
the super luxe ones?
Yeah, that's why I'm suggesting
Just
it. I
feels
think
like-
it'd be amazing.
You know that meme on Twitter that goes around where the guy just gets poured the wine and he just like swirls it and looks at it? Have I showed you that one?
Is there a bourbon version of that?
There should be. It's like
Yeah.
Armand when he orders a $200 old
No, it's just like you like putting some bitters. Yeah, that'd be sick.
That's pretty nice. 100 proof though, and we're like 3/4 done with the bottle, and we just started.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
Should be a good one.
All right, what do we got first up on the docket? There was some
Some
quick
alfalfa,
hitters
right?
that cruised through the group chat this week. You want to touch on real quick? We got
Alfalfa round?
Do we do alfalfa first?
Yeah, you want to do that? Let's do it.
Well, I don't have anything.
Let's do
so-
some alfalfa. So here's
Armand
one I
always
got.
brings the alfalfa.
I'm trying. I don't love all of these, so this is an interesting checklist
Should I pull
for
it up?
having a newborn. Yep, for having a newborn baby.
Yeah.
Some of them I really liked and I took action on right away. Some of them I'd already thought of and I was like, oh, cool, someone else is thinking about these things. And others were new and others were silly. So here's the checklist. Open a 529 plan. Very smart.
Educational savings plan.
Update estate plan. Yes. Add as credit card AU authorized user. I think that's, I don't get that.
It's like helping
one.
build the credit for the baby. Is that what
Yeah.
it does?
I don't
Cool.
get that one.
Build your baby's credit by putting
Yeah.
them on it.
Get them all situated.
I
Sure.
guess. Reserve email address. That was smart. If we still have email in like 12 years, that'll be cool. I did that. Add to health insurance, of course. You have to do that anyway. Register domain names. This one was cool. I purchased my daughter's domain names over the weekend when I saw this. I was like, that's a great idea.
First and last. Is that what you went with?
I went first and last and first and middle,
Cool.
like RumiSophia.com.
I didn't know that, Sophia.
Yeah.
I
So
like that.
what I like about that is like I don't know if people will still navigate the
Wait, her
web by
initials are
typing in.
RSA?
Yeah.
RSA. Dot ETH.
Yeah. I don't know if
Get that .eth. Oh wait.
I know. I don't know if people will still navigate by like typing in a web address.
Yeah.
I don't think they will.
No.
But I think what it will be is like you have a .com with your name. Like I think it's like whoa, that's like having a Bitcoin.
You
or,
have
know.
you have
you have a whole
vanity
Bitcoin?
fax number.
Yeah,
That's
it's
so
cool.
sick.
It's nostalgic. It's OG. So I think like cool still to get one if your child wants to have their portfolio online or a blog or whatever. We'll see if there's even any real use case. Freeze credit with the 3 bureaus. The reason behind that is identity theft. So it prevents identity theft and the credit being used
Oh yeah.
until they can actually begin to utilize their credit. Update account beneficiaries and create airline loyalty accounts. I didn't really get that
What?
one. Thought that was a stretch. So if you have any others, let me know. Throw them in the Discord. We have a parenting thread in the Discord as well if you're into this topic. And yeah, there's some good stuff that came out
You
of
should
the
show this checklist
about
to
like a-
like any woman and be like, "What do you think about this checklist for having a baby?" They'd be like,
It's completely
not
different.
even in my top 5,000.
Wait, yeah, you're right. The way the tweet is phrased, here's my checklist for having a baby.
Like when you put
I
this
don't
up,
think
I was
that's-
like, "Is this a parody tweet?"
What would be the way?
No, I think what he really means is like, here are some alpha moves once you have a baby to,
Yeah, it
benefit
doesn't
their
involve
lives. in the
moving to a
future.
bigger house, removing all chemicals from the house, make it baby safe, get diapers.
Yeah, this is like
Yeah.
it's like the guys.
nanny.
But what's missing is like just a regular non-taxable account. Like do the little reverse Social Security we talked about. Throw some cash in, let it grow over time.
for the baby.
Yeah, for the baby outside of the 529 because you
Yeah,
can only use it
529
for.
probably acts as that.
But you can only use it
Now,
for
if you're
education.
self-employed, you can pay your child.
Yes, you can.
They have to earn it technically.
Yeah,
well,
you have to,
technically.
and they pay taxes
It's
on
like
it.
$12K a year.
I'm sorry, what?
You can pay your child
Yeah.
to work for you,
You could pay your
And then
newborn
you can-
baby to work for you.
and then you can deduct that, obviously, and then they can invest that. So
Wait, what?
you can invest it on their
Is this
behalf.
a thing people do?
Yes.
This is the first time
Per-
I've ever
per
heard this
child.
in my life.
I mean, the kid has to
Yeah.
earn it.
Yeah, they have to have a job, and they pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much
Not a
different it is
violation of
taking
any
your.
child labor laws.
What's the difference between taking your post-tax income and giving it to them if they have to pay taxes on it anyway?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know there's advantages there because I have a bunch of friends that do that.
Hookem also brought up the biggest glaring one is like set up a trust. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the one we missed, yeah.
Yeah.
So the only
All right,
things you need
but
to
I
worry
like that.
about.
Life insurance is also missed.
Yeah.
Term life insurance. I brought that up a couple
I like a
episodes
term,
ago.
yeah, term life insurance. Nice.
20 years term life insurance, depending on your age.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. I got two two quick alfalfas.
Yeah.
Can you pull up? I just updated my card, so can you pull this one up?
I sure can.
So when you're looking to buy a house, mortgage rates are obviously pretty high right now. They're like 7 something and change. There are these assumable mortgages where you can assume the mortgage of the seller, ideally at a lower interest rate. And I came across this site, assumable.io.
This is a huge industry, by the way, now.
Yeah.
Wait, so this is
There
for
are
people who
a ton
don't.
of real estate startups, like tech startups like this coming out.
Yeah, and
So
if
people who want to abandon their mortgage, you assume it.
they're selling their house and they could go through a little extra work so that the buyer can assume their lower interest rate.
Can
And
you charge more money?
Maybe, possibly.
Yeah,
But it
why
opens
does the
up-
seller go through the headache? Where's the incentive lie for the seller to? You have 7 buyers, and one says, "I'd like to assume your mortgage." How do they?
I mean, it might be worth paying more, beating the offer.
Yeah.
But it seems like FHA loans and veteran loans are the ones in particular that are most likely to be assumable. So anyway, this one is free. I believe you can just search your area. I mean, not surprisingly, the supply is very low and it may not fit what you're looking for, but I thought it was like, why not look there first and try it out? And these are not houses that are already offering a suitable mortgage. It just means it's eligible and you'll have to talk to the agent and try to convince them to, do whatever they got to do. So that's
cool.
that's one. I like that one.
Never heard of that.
I bookmarked that.
Yeah, actually, I want to make sure I'm speaking correctly here, but I believe the competitor is no, it's not Rome. I'll find it, but a mentor of mine started a competitor, and he exited his previous company to Quicken, to Intuit. So this will be his second home run, and he's really going for it in this space too.
I mean, as long as interest rates are high,
Yeah,
I'm sure they have plenty of business. There's another one that's paid.
yeah.
You
Rome
pay
is a
50
big
bucks a
player
month.
in this as well.
Other alfalfa is we're doing our quarterly planning for our company. It's
You guys do great at that.
Yeah, we do it every quarter. So right now we're doing Q3 planning. It's coming up in July, so we're 2-3 weeks away. And I don't know, I thought I'd share the agenda. People have their own projects or companies that might find it useful.
We're getting a quarterly planning agenda?
Yeah,
Is that what that printout was?
that's what it is. That's what
Oh
the
my
agenda is
God.
for
This is gonna be
what I
good.
handed out. So
I'm excited for this.
Nick's goatee at this.
Yeah, this is pretty
So
epic.
we did, usually the first hour is a quarter in review. So in particular, we look at the last 3 months and year-to-date financials. And the goal is to show the team that you're working with, who may not see the P&L every day, teach them about the P&L, show them how, the things you worked on last quarter or 2 quarters ago are pulling the levers on the P&L.
How it affects the business.
Yeah, you're trying to get, ideally, your whole team to reverse engineer and work backwards from the P&L to increase net income. Sometimes I feel like that's lost in strategic planning. That is the goal.
So the
increase net
audience
income.
can't see what's on your sheet, but on your sheet you have written next to look back 3 months. You have 1 hour.
Yeah, exactly. Quarter in review, 60 minutes. Where are we now? 20
Yeah.
minutes of those 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of shit to get done, and we have 5 people in our meeting, and some of those people travel to come here for the quarterly meeting.
Uh-huh.
So you just want to make sure you get the most out of it for the time that you allocated for it.
Okay.
We also have other shit to do.
So what comes next?
What went well this quarter? So this is 10 minutes quiet time writing on Post-it notes.
Everybody puts head down and starts writing.
Yeah, you get 5 minutes, head down. Everyone writes their stuff. We throw them up on the board. What went well? Same thing. What didn't go so well? Or what do we decide to spend time on that didn't go well at all? And then we added a new one. What could go wrong? I saw that Huberman had a thing on instead of visualizing what you want and picturing yourself there as if you're in the moment, it's actually more productive to think about what could fuck this up. And so we did a whole one on what are all the things that could go wrong or screw up our progress.
Did you already do this
Yeah.
quarterly review? Or
I
was
mean,
it-
I think about it every night.
okay, so was there a lot of
could go
alpha gleaned when you went through that
sure.
part of the exercise?
So many things I didn't think of, and then we talk about what part of the P&L do we want to pull the lever on this quarter. So that we did that Monday afternoon. Tuesday is the system for achieving. That's what we focus on, and it's on the what. So brainstorm all the initiatives, ideas, processes, little ideas, big ideas, spend 10 minutes on the post-it notes, throw them up, rank them in terms of impact. And then I like this question a lot. Like, which of these ideas, if done perfectly, would render the rest of the ideas irrelevant? And it just makes you start to like, wow, which one of these, like, if we just focused on would just
Change the face of the business
exactly
entirely.
like
Yeah.
increase net income 50%, you know? If we could focus on 3 to 5 of these, which would we focus on? And then and the next question after that is, if we did decide to focus on these, what trade-offs are we making? Because it's easy to rank 3 or 5, but you don't really realize the choice you're making.
Right, it's always
what
trade-offs.
not to do.
How much time do you allocate to that part that's like the
2-3
game changing?
2-3 hours.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then we spend another 2-3 hours on the how and who of the system of achieving. Okay, so this is what we want to accomplish. How do we get it done? And then we have a day for other issues, things that didn't come up that we're all together we need to talk about. And the last day is, we'll do this tomorrow, is we revisit our accountability chart. So we don't have an org chart in our business of like who reports to who. It's like things that need to get done and who's responsible for them. And then we revisit our weekly scorecard. Like, are these still the metrics we want to track every week?
KPIs.
Yeah, KPIs, and should we add or change these or delete some?
Cool.
So anyway,
Nice. Gonna
That's
need you to
good.
drop that doc in the old Discord.
could do it.
Is it proprietary?
People would like
Could
it.
do it.
Yeah.
All right.
People
Anyone
would
else
like
got
that.
anything for?
I got one more quick critter.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got
So
another one.
this backmarket.com, great site to get refurbished or renewed electronics with a warranty. And everyone that I know that's used it has had a very good experience. And we also bought one for someone in our company. We bought I think it was like a super, powered like Windows laptop, and has not had a problem. Everything's great.
So you
Get a
got
big
you
discount.
get this laptop for cheaper on this site.
Yeah, you're buying something like factory renewed. I mean, it just sometimes means that it got sold and there was a button missing and they put the button back. I don't know what it technically means, but I know that they like test the shit out of them, and yeah, you can get everything.
It's good. I buy
iPhone.
all my Apple stuff there now.
Do you
Oh yeah,
really?
I've probably bought like 15 things on there. It's like,
Oh wow,
yeah,
Wow, we should use this for the company.
that's a much better.
You use it for your company, right,
statement.
Armand?
Yeah,
yeah, they're good. I've never had a problem.
you can buy AirPods. Yeah, I've never had a problem either between our company and everyone I've talked to. Apple products, Mac products, Windows products, looks like monitors even, iPhones,
Yeah, everything.
everything.
It's
Everything.
incredible.
It's all on there. It's good.
Yeah,
good stuff.
backmarket.com.
Cool.
Not an ad.
Good
just
alpha.
alfalfa.
Not ad.
Anyone have anything else?
I went kind of nuts on Ethereum options this week.
Love that.
Yeah,
Did you do it when it was 34.50?
pretty close.
34.50.
Pretty close.
Oh, what stand-up is that
Wow, Russell Peters.
Russell Peters. That's so.
from? He's talking about the Indian guy
You
and the Chinese
actually
guy
just
negotiating.
immediately did that as I did it.
Oh my
Dude,
god.
Nick and I's friendship began with like that
With Russell
kind of
Peters
stuff.
stand-up?
Like we were watching, like yeah.
You ever have a moment where everybody around you explodes in laughter and you have no idea what the fuck is going
It's
on?
all right. We'll learn you
Yeah,
later.
that's what I just
Yeah, we'll
Sucks
learn
to
you.
Man, that was like such a good stand-up, like 10
Oh,
years ago or
dude.
20 years ago now.
You go to the store and the dollar is the price change, and now the price $34.50. I don't know if you guys haven't seen that out there. It's one of the greatest stand-ups of all time.
Oh, it's so good.
so good.
Watch it
So
with Steven.
good. Yeah,
Okay, so anyway, you were talking about your little call option thing? No.
Steven
Have a movie
needs
night.
someone to watch.
Have a
it
stand-up
with.
movie night
Have
with
a
Steven.
movie night with Steven.
Do you want to have a movie
right.
night or do you want to make money?
All right, tell us about
My God.
$34.50.
No, oh God. No, it's fine. Eric will like this. What did I do? I sold July 3300s and I bought 4000s.
You sold 3,300.
So I'm making money. It's positive theta. I'm making money a little bit daily to be balls long now.
No, I liked it. I saw it. You posted in our Discord, and I liked it. I treaded in your wake.
That was,
You know,
that
I
was a
followed
more
on.
complicated one that I had on earlier. But after the price dipped, I was like, this is no longer as cool. And I just kind of went all in on the other one.
So because there was like a 4-leg version, and then there's a 2-leg version. But
Yeah.
But-
The original version was I sold 34s, I bought 400s, I sold 47s, and I bought 5s.
yeah,
Yeah, and that was a cool trade because it's been making me money every day. And if we just expire in the middle, I actually make a bunch of money.
exactly.
And I get to be like really long.
Yeah.
The downside of this, of course, is that if we go way down, I am fucked. So there's no
You
free
just have
lunch,
to-
kids.
You have to buy
No
ETH
free
at
lunch.
3,300 or 3,200, whatever. You know?
yeah, with all the cash that I have. Like,
Since we're on a little options corner, Bob, the donator of our whiskey today, is proposing an idea with his coin options, and since a lot of our listeners have like joined along, figure I'd maybe throw it out real quick, see what you guys think.
Yeah.
So he owns December 2025 calls. He bought them at $100 strike price.
So like a year and a half. to
Yeah,
expiration.
he's weighing the money. They're up big.
Yep.
And he's considering actually exercising the options now and then selling 2 standard deviation calls against it. And he was doing the back of the napkin math, and it's like, I don't know, somewhere like a 50% return annually. So what do you guys think? Like, hold the calls, wait for higher price, higher volatility, or is it a safer play to like exercise? You have to put up the cash to buy however many hundreds of shares it is, and then sell the calls against it.
If he's actually doing the 2 standard deviations, I don't, and if he's like as deep in the money as you're saying, then I don't mind selling this like poor man's covered call against your leap option. So like I don't even
selling naked.
well you have like your hedge because you're long the call leg.
So don't exercise until
Yeah, I wouldn't exercise them. Like I would just hold them, and then I would sell a call against my long.
is that a synthetic covered call?
I think
What
they
do
call it the poor man's cover
poor
call.
man's cover call.
Yeah, but like if you're deep in the money, then like your long leg is going to increase at like a high delta. Like, you know, depending how deep in the money you are, it might move like in lockstep with the stock.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't exercise them, but
God,
This
you're
is
good
fine.
at this. You do this for a living?
That's a cool strat. A lot of people don't know that you can write covered calls in a way without even owning the stock.
He did mention once you exercise, your cap gains like time obviously like restarts. So there is like kind of a downside to exercising them. But I like that strategy. Maybe
too.
we'll
I mean 50% annualized is pretty good.
I take the stock, man. I like the stock.
I like the stock
I like
too.
the stock long term. You're up like super bigly. Everything's a little long in the tooth. I don't know. Maybe just take the stock and chill, and then take some income.
I like his better.
Yeah, whatever. You
All
know,
right.
I mean,
to each
like
his
you
own.
still have the same exposure if you get like a deep in the money call. It literally like acts like common stock.
Do what you will, Bob.
All right. Well, I'm glad we asked this because I learned something today. All right. What was in the group chat this week?
Yeah, so, you know, some really exciting news. Just generally,
I'm excited.
San Francisco is so back. You guys might have seen like a week or two ago they had that big
This looks cool.
concert at City Hall or whatever that was.
Cool concert?
Oh, yeah,
and man,
Skrillex.
and it was like
Skrillex
Skrillex,
DJ
and it
at
was
San
like
Francisco's
happiness
back.
and joy, and everyone was like, "We're so back." So anyway, this was round 2.
What are we looking at here? Some people standing in the street. I heard a lot of screeching. Oh.
So people are doing donuts in front of the Embarcadero. Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. It's like just Gotham.
They have a permit for this, right?
All right, and now we have
Car's on
lit
fire.
a $40,000 Camaro on fire.
Okay.
Donuts continue.
Well,
The car is now on fire.
I definitely wouldn't be standing in the front row of
Lasers.
this
Oh,
action.
Lasers. Dancing on the. I like this one better. Watch this one. Now they're kicking the car
That's on fire.
that's on fire. We're so fucking cool, bro!
All right. Can you
We run the world, man!
all right.
kill the audio?
All right.
We
So, the city sucks.
This is in the
And-
Embarcadero, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a nice part of the city.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
guys
nice
live there.
part of the city. Look, like I wanted to like dunk on everyone, but I didn't. I wanted people to enjoy that moment they had a couple weeks ago at that concert. I wanted to immediately dunk on all the people that were like, this is so wonderful. Like, look at San Francisco. Like, just like it's so back, and it's just like, come on, it's not back.
Where's
It's
Batman
not
when you need him?
back. This is the reality of this city. Like, this is the culture of the city right now, and until there's fundamental change that we have not seen even begin to roll out, you're not going to see these things change. You're really not.
You think
So
the
it's
cops
worse
were just
than
like,
this is out of a Batman movie. This is Chris Nolan can't recreate this. This is like that level.
Hey, San
I mean, he
Francisco
can.
doesn't
Chris
have
Nolan can do
Batman.
anything.
They have They.
especially this month.
What do you think of this, Steven?
It's just like kicking someone while they're down at this point, you know. We're in like year 5 of this now, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
get your fucking shit together, man. Like, what are you doing?
No one gets arrested.
Like,
No one ever gets in trouble.
Uh,
It's bad.
You ever watch Channel 5 News on YouTube?
Channel 5 News is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Such a good channel. Is All Gas No Brakes? They from the somebody in the Discord turned me on to this. It was probably Tom.
Tom Nom.
It's probably Tom. But yeah, he has a bunch like going, you know, in San Francisco, just not even undercover, just in the streets, just talking to people and everything. You're like, holy God, this is fucked. It's.
But they go to like
disaster.
a lot of other cities, and like Philadelphia was fucking gnarly.
Dude, I heard they're giving people alcohol now. Is that true?
Oh Jesus. I don't know.
It's
And
free-
look, the reason
free
I'm so
booze.
Where
critical
and
of
what
San
time?
Francisco, if you didn't already know, I lived there for 7 years. I think Eric lived there for 8 or 9 years. Like, I love this city, and it breaks my heart to see it like this. It's disgusting. It's terrible. It's unsafe. You can't this is supposed to be the mecca of all technology and innovation. I used to call it mission control for humanity. That's how meaningful of a city it is, but not like this. You're not going to get you're not going to get innovation happening like this. So many companies have left.
Yeah, we're getting certain kinds of innovation.
What's it called? Moved to Foster City a couple weeks ago.
What's it called?
Yeah, what's it called? Inc.
Foster City's South Bay. I mean, it's like still.
What's it called? Could literally be a startup. I don't know.
I know.
Like,
Isn't
So-
Foster City South Bay? Like the fact that they're still in the Bay Area.
But it's San Francisco. That's the problem.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
what else we got?
All right. So, yeah. Here's a. Did I just play it?
What is it?
So, a former teacher is under investigation for filming an explicit video in a classroom.
as one does.
She resigned, and this community activist, Quanell X, has an animated response
It's a cool
to
name.
describe
Oh, Quanell.
the
Okay, yeah, let's play
situation.
Quanell.
Demonetization?
Yeah,
now.
Yeah,
We
let's play-
are able to play this because we have turned off all ads.
Now we got a teacher in the classroom on school hours, stripping down butt naked, bending over, and showing everything on the video, and all you could see was cellulite hanging in puberty. This is a disgrace and a shame.
Oh my
This
god!
woman obviously had lost her damn mind. She needs psychotropic medication. She pulls out her breasts and she's juggling them. Look like she's about to fall over. Then she bends over and pulls down her panties. Spreads
He's so
her cheeks.
disgusted. Oh, that's really bad.
she really did.
That's really bad.
She really did it.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
she
not
needs help.
lying, I'm telling you what's on the video. Spreads her cheeks. This is madness. This woman should never, ever be allowed to be an educator.
Oh,
I agree.
But
that's
now
it.
we-
I love
I
this
think-
guy.
I feel like this guy should have a podcast.
Absolutely.
Wait, can we talk about
Absolutely.
who posted this? So this was posted by. You guys remember
The official-
Mario Nawfal?
The official spokesperson of Twitter.
Yeah,
Bro.
Mario Nafal blew up out of nowhere.
This man grifted his way into like what
Yes.
he's just like. He literally grew a following like during like FTX and just spreading blatant just nonsense, complete misinformation.
Dude, did you know that?
unchecked, and then like a year later, he's like hosting spaces with like Elon Musk. It's
Dude,
like,
he's talking with Elon now.
It's like, bravo,
Oh.
dude. Like,
Elon comments
Fake
on
it till you
every
make it.
3 Mario posts.
it's like
Yeah. If we're gonna talk about that,
there's,
like,
there's no good lessons in this.
no, dude, he's. I don't get it. I don't.
Well,
get
is he
what's
like
happening.
is he a good curator of content? Because he curated this, right? this is
very
fucking hilarious.
This is very rare.
Probably
Usually
just stole
it's
it
like
from some other account with
all
like 5,000
caps-
followers.
all caps.
That's what you do in your big account.
but
You
that's
just, like,
fine because like
You just
I
scrape
wouldn't have
stuff
seen
from
it
the little
otherwise,
guys
or
to do all the
you know,
work.
that's fine.
Feel dirty.
All right.
I like
Well, while a few minutes ago, Tom Onan submitted a super chat.
oh
Yeah.
super chats.
Yeah, he said,
This is new for us.
"Thanks for the SD hospitality, friends. Wishing you all more ethical pickle partners. See you next time." I assume
Oh,
that's pointed at this gentleman to my right.
So we had such an educational moment last week.
Tom,
with Tom.
poor
Like,
Tom.
I am now in possession
how
of
come all the education came out after I left?
I'm now in possession of a flow chart of all of the what do you even the gay personas?
Gay archetypes.
Yeah, I learned about a twink and a twonk and a wombat and a
Really?
dolphin and a ginger bear.
Yeah, Tom's a
and
chaser.
Like
A bear chaser.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he called Steven a twonk.
Twonk.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Can we get all of our archetypes, Tom? If you could please.
Yeah, please in the chat. Let's
It's like
take
a
some
Harry
archetypes.
Potter
Just the
personality
flow.
test.
post the flow chart in the Discord.
Yeah, shout out to Tom for that. Appreciate
Thank you,
man.
Tom.
That was a fun evening.
All right, so what else we got? I think we're moving into. Oh yeah, I think one of you guys sent. Roger Federer gave a Dartmouth commencement speech.
Oh, I like this.
That was
Steven.
pretty sick.
I wanted Fed to give the speech when I was there. I got a wait. Who did I get,
We call him Fed now.
I thought you went to Arizona
I didn't know he's
State. Dude.
Fed.
bro?
Phoenix
dare you.
Online.
How dare you? No, I got that Goldman guy who was like some financial thing under Bush or something. What was his name? I don't even remember. Useless. And then now we get Federer.
Most commencement speeches are so bad, so bad.
Most, and then
This
some of
was
them are
good.
so good.
Yeah,
We didn't get anyone.
yeah. I don't know if I got any.
No, we just get like the
No.
valedictorian equivalent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
All right, you wanna run this down for us,
So
Steven?
what tickled you here? What fancied your?
So I don't know if I want to read it like word for word, but the gist is basically he's like in my career I played 1,500 singles matches. I won 80% of them. Humble brag. But what percentage of points did I win?
In each match.
What percentage of points did I win just in his career? 54%.
He only won
54%.
50% of points, but by doing that, he still won 80% of
Became
his
like
matches.
the GOAT.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like kind of cool because it just speaks to this idea of like little small edges
Yeah.
over and over and over and over and over again, right?
Totally.
And it's like I don't know.
That is
I thought it
fucking
was great.
crazy, actually. That he's barely winning. He's barely winning over half
Right.
in his career, and he becomes the greatest of all time until somebody surpassed him. But for a moment, he was the greatest of all time.
Did that remind you guys of investing at all? I feel
Yes,
That's the first thing I
that's what I
thought
thought
of.
of was like trading in this
Because it's like you don't have to have a really high batting average. It's like how much money you make when you hit
When
him
you
right.
win.
the same thing happened to me.
I love what he
once,
says
like,
here.
I looked at like every poker hand I ever played. Like, I think I played like 3 or 4 million hands in my career over like a decade, and I made like a lot of money. And now I looked at like the percentage of hands that I won. It was like 52%.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy.
So you had similar results
Yeah.
as a professional
That's-
poker player.
Yeah,
And you retired as the greatest of all time.
That's right. That's right. It is known. It is known.
Yeah. So I think actually what the parallel to investing is like when you get it wrong, it's like limit your losses and move on because that's just like 1 point. It's 1 point, you move on, you don't lose the match. It's 1
Next
point.
play, next point.
play, but like don't kill yourself.
We talked about
play.
losing a condo last episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next point.
Still here.
Yeah, let me just read this. I love this. When
Yeah.
you're playing a point, it has to be the most important thing in the world, and it is. But when it's behind you, it's behind you. I think that's a really good mental framework.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that part.
That part's pretty fucking
Yeah.
hard.
I just keep thinking.
Yeah, it just stays with you for
I know I'm not
for a long
supposed to,
time.
but I do it.
You gotta let it pass through you.
I think you think about it until you have processed the lesson. If you don't process a lesson out of it, you keep thinking about it and you regret it.
I really like that. I use this all the time, that like everything is an opportunity. Like good and bad, everything's an opportunity to learn. And if you don't learn from that opportunity, then you're going to get a fucking another opportunity, because life is going to come at you again and give you the
It's
same
really
lesson.
simple. Like in tennis, you might say, like, I don't know tennis, by the way, so this is going to sound dumb, but it's like, okay, I double faulted because I took a slightly more risk on my second serve than I normally would have, and instead of playing that lower probability serve, I probably should have just played the 100% shot. And so, lesson learned: no matter what, don't take the risk on the second serve.
That's pretty good, man.
Okay,
Pretty
thanks.
Good.
So
I was gonna ask for your feedback on that.
No, I think
Tennis
so
analogy.
so it's just
Spoken
like
like a
you
true goat.
learn and then you process, and then you wouldn't continue to carry the pain if you've processed it. And I think that applies to investing, life, entrepreneurship, relationships. Why would you sit and like regret a relationship if you've already processed it and you have a lesson like, okay, now I know, don't date a succubus. This is what a succubus looks and feels like. These are the things they say.
How do they feel?
When they You don't want to know.
So good.
Everyone's had a succubus.
Oh, no, I would never wish that upon anybody. And yet everybody should experience it.
All right, let's move on to Mark Cuban firing up the minimum wage debate again. So we could pull this tweet up. We don't need to play anything, but if you scroll down, this started off with the announcement that Rubio's, big restaurant chain here in California,
Fish
specifically
tacos, baby.
They're
in
based
San Diego.
out of SD, right?
Yeah.
OG.
And Ralph Rubio was a SDSU alum.
Oh, they're
Really?
closing?
Yeah.
Legend.
They are closing 48 locations due to inflation and a minimum wage increase. So in California, I believe starting in January, fast food workers got bumped up to a $20 minimum wage. I think it was at like $16, $17, somewhere like that before. So, a decent bump up. And, those 48 locations closed, and there's several other restaurants that closed. I think in the first 4 or 5 months, it's been about 10,000 and change jobs lost from it. And so Mark Cuban says, let me give you a different point of view. He said, basically the point of when we don't pay people enough, we still end up subsidizing their life through government programs. And essentially you will still subsidize them if you don't pay them a living wage with your tax dollars through whatever, like, pick your government support program. So he's been a quite outspoken supporter of higher minimum wage. Now, his motives may be a little
So
different.
he's saying the better entrepreneur wins, and if you don't pay people enough, they'll use more government subsidies.
Yeah, and like you'll still end up paying for it out of your tax dollars.
Right.
And now he, again, his motivation was a little different. Like he talked about, he was embarrassed that his employees might have to take taxpayer funds to subsidize their life. He also talked about how he didn't take any PPP money. He kept paying everyone through COVID, which is kind of like, I don't know, not germane to the argument of like supporting minimum wage. So he might just be trying to signal that he's a good person. But we've had some minimum wage debates before amongst our crew. In fact, the first time that Eric and Steven met,
So, yeah, Nick brings some friends together.
I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. They're going to get
Cool.
along so well. Like, they don't even know how good of friends they are yet. They haven't
these are-
even met.
These guys are so similar. They're going to have a good time.
So we're at
Churchill.
up at Churchill, and we're about, I don't know, 10, 12 of us. Eric and Steven sit next to each other, and I don't know, we get immediately into minimum wage. And it starts at
Steven's voice just starts rising.
it starts at about a 3.
going up.
And 45 minutes in, we go to a 7, and it probably peaks about a 9 of like
I don't yell.
tone, volume level,
Stop it.
intensity,
I was yelling,
rapidity of speech.
but I yell.
Everyone was staring at us.
We were
But
all
I'm a
pretty-
yeller.
We're all
yeah.
pretty
I'm
drunk.
a
Old yeller.
And I'm sitting here sweating. I'm like,
You're old
I
yeller.
need to be taken out back.
Big fan of the R word.
I'm like, oh my God, this totally backfired. Like, Do they know?
And I
they're gonna have to
remember like sitting there smiling, like they're getting along so great, like they're having a real
like a-
friendly debate, and then it just kept getting more and more intense, and I was just sitting there going like, right.
It's like a
No,
this
but
is
you're
fine,
right too.
This is fine meme.
And I thought
everything's on
I
fire.
thought it was harmony, but it just became less and less harmonious.
Armand and I are just interjecting to like soften each other's blows.
Oh yeah, that's such a good point, Eric.
Yeah, that's reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Why
and
are
then
you yelling?
Steve was like, no, it's not. Here's why. And then he'd be like, well, you're a fucking idiot. And I'd be like, okay, it's getting a little
No,
less friendly.
I definitively remember being like, I can tell you're really smart, but you're being really stupid.
yeah. You called it. You were like, I remember it very
There was a little
well.
hug out moment at the
Look,
end.
this debate confused the shit out of me because when I met Eric and started talking to him for a bit, like I sort of pegged him as like, oh, this is basically like country club Republican type.
Republican,
that I met
Republican
in
capitalist.
college, capitalist, right? And then suddenly it just like comes at me. I mean, it was so confusing. It'd be like if you were talking to my like ultra right wing, super Catholic mom, and then she just went off on you about like diversity suddenly. You'd be like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
No, I get that. I get that. It did come out of left field.
She's like, don't you talk that way about DEI? Jesus would slap you. That would just be like very confusing.
Oh, that's
So where do we
good.
sit now, boys?
Okay.
Yeah,
anyway.
where do you sit now?
So-
Redraw the scorecard.
Okay, so I will say one thing in favor of Mark Cuban to start. That thing is, if I hypothetically ran a large restaurant chain in California and I ran my business into the ground because I sucked at business, I wouldn't not just blame minimum wage and inflation as the reason I closed down, right? So
Because like Rubio's hasn't been that popular for like 10
look,
plus
I
years.
haven't gone to Rubio's in
Right,
like
like,
10 years.
It's like they got famous off a fish taco, and like they're not even that good.
So like I'm a little sus on the we gotta close because inflation, minimum wage. Like everybody's paying the same wage, right? It's like maybe your tacos aren't good. Like so, I'll give Mark a point there.
Okay, that's nice. I think like I don't want to interrupt you, but like I think the crux of the argument that I sort of in favor of is not like isolating any particular iteration of minimum wage hikes like California can do up to here or New York can do up to here or whatever. I'm not talking about the instantiations. I'm talking about theoretically having a minimum wage and looking at the historic minimum wage and seeing like should that increase off of like where it was initiated from, and like more broadly I think of like wealth distribution, and I really feel like that wealth distribution is probably going to happen to people who have wealth like ourselves. It's going to happen whether we like it or not, you know, like in some form. And like one form of that could be like increased taxes. One form of that could be like through UBI or whatever. And like I think the biggest feather in the cap that people say for like not increasing minimum wage is that like, well, this just creates inflation, so it kind of nets out. But like all of these things, like all of the alternatives also have downsides, right? So it's like there's no right answer, but I sort of like the trade-offs that are provided by an increased minimum wage. And I can go further. Like the reason why I like the trade-offs of the minimum
How
wage.
would you measure that?
Okay, the reason
those
why I like
trade-offs?
that one is because the reason why I like this is because there's like a with this like widening wealth gap, you have people who like don't have money or can't even support themselves to live, right? And in order to benefit them, we can like increase minimum wage. Yes, that increases prices of like goods and services, but those price increases are burdened by the entire population, while the benefit of the minimum wage increase is directed directly towards those who don't have much. So it actually is a net positive for like the low socioeconomic part of the ladder. And I think the alternative is like, okay, we give them UBI, but then we got to like increase taxation to pay for that. And then that like ends up as like net same for the people with wealth, also increases inflation.
So
Wait, you're making a lot of points here. But we have to pause.
Yeah,
I'm getting PTSD.
you want to go or
I'm getting
This is what he does
PTSD.
to me when he argues with me too. So,
But ultimately, like what I'm trying to say is like I understand that there's like pros and cons with every form of this, and if you want to just say that you don't believe in wealth redistribution at all.
This is the main thing. I
Okay.
fundamentally disagree with the idea that there is even a trade-off, right? Because in saying like there's a trade-off, you're saying, well, by doing this, we are going to distribute wealth and make people wealthier here, but we will get. I don't even agree with the first thing before the.
Okay,
but.
so you don't believe in like wealth redistribution at all.
No, I actually do believe in some forms of wealth redistribution. I think a minimum wage is like a terrible way to do it.
Okay, because I think it's the best way to do it. But like, as long as you agree that there probably is going to be some form of redistribution at some point.
I agree with you on that, but let me pose a question to you. Do you think the government can make all of the stuff that you buy cheaper by just passing laws that say prices have to be lower?
No, clearly not.
No, right. And I think like everybody sort of like agree. There are some people who don't, but I think most people are like, yeah, like we can't do that. That's stupid. Much in the same way, like the government cannot increase like the value you get out of products by mandating that they're sold to you for less. They also can't mandate that people are paid more and make them richer. It's the same sort of intervention in the economy. And like, as my boy Thomas Sowell has said, like, no matter what you make the minimum wage, right, you cannot change the fact that the true minimum wage is zero. Because ultimately, what you're doing at the end is like cutting people out of jobs completely, right? And then the other thing that you don't see is that like businesses cut hours, right? I think this is complicated, right? I think it's not a cut and dry issue, right? I think there is an interesting question of like, okay, like obviously if you pay people more in fast food restaurants, then the price of those Big Macs go up, and who's buying the Big Macs? Well, that's a lot of like poor people actually, because McDonald's like historically has been like a great fucking
sure,
place.
it's literally you.
Okay, I eat a lot of McDonald's too, but
I'm just teasing, but I know you eat a lot of Big Macs.
but like historically, like if you wanted
Top
to get
shareholder.
the most calories per fucking dollar, you go to McDonald's. It was like you get like 8,000 calories for like $6. It was like incredible. But now you can't. And a huge reason for that is the labor input. And now a lot of people who are working at McDonald's, they don't go to McDonald's anymore. By the way, did I put the McDonald's chart in the card?
It was the Taco Bell one, wasn't it? Oh, it was
No.
McDonald's. No, I remember that in the Discord. The
Dude.
LA McDonald's price change over the last like 3 years.
No. Like, I actually looked up the chart because I was actually like McDonald's is like an interesting case study in this, right? Like, like fast food is where everybody's really demanding the wages, and I was like, well, what has happened?
How's the stock?
Yeah, what does the stock look like?
The chart.
Yeah, pull up the chart if you can at home. Like in crypto, we have the meme of the McDonald's chart that like Bitcoin made like last cycle. The McDonald's chart is doing the McDonald's. It's like double top. It's like breaking down and going to zero.
I don't think it is. I actually think it's kind
No, it is. Pull up the stock.
I think it's up and to the right.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I think it
Stop
is.
it.
I think it is.
Oh, you know it's not. You know we're not going to pull it up, and you're just trolling.
Well, I'm not invested in McDonald's,
Check
but
the chart,
but
boys.
I would just
Check
because
the
I
chart.
know people fucking love McDonald's and I think they're going to buy
McDonald's
it regardless.
is doing bad because their fucking labor inputs are going up so rapidly, right? And the robots haven't completely rolled out. But this is the other thing that you do when you increase the minimum wage is you just accelerate the unemployment of everybody because you're making robots like comparatively like a better option.
No,
Like,
that's definitely true. I agree
Yeah.
with that. But that is also a groundswell that's happening in the background regardless. Like there was a funny photo or a meme that I saw that was like, this is your McDonald's with a higher minimum wage. And it was all of these like kiosks. But it turned out that picture was actually from 2018 before all this inflation and before like the minimum wage increases happened. It was like, no, people are like any business owner, Nick, Armand, myself, you, like we're always trying to reduce our labor costs.
That is true, but if tomorrow you say that the price of labor is $100 an hour, suddenly all of these companies producing
Yes.
robots that were making no sales before are just.
I agree. It accelerates that. I agree.
It
Can
accelerates
I do a
that.
quick speed round? So, what was your guys' first job? Your very first job, not like, working for family or whatever. Just like,
I made soda in a soda factory.
okay, Eric,
Intern, San Diego Chargers.
Armand, what was your very
I
first
am
job?
So poor. Goddamn.
Skating rink.
Skating rink. I worked as a busboy at a restaurant. So I'd say, did you even get paid as an internship?
Not initially, no.
Right.
That's so cool.
So
You were
we
interns at San Diego
three
Chargers?
we
God
three
damn it.
started minimum wage jobs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right.
$5.25 an hour.
And so when I think of like minimum wage hikes, I think it's one of those situations that harms the people that they intend to help. And that is in particular, let's call them young, first time jobbers. Let's talk about low income, low skilled people. You could even throw, if you look at the stats, minorities, disability, people with disabilities, even like older demographics with low skilled labor. And what do you, and you mentioned it from the perspective of like the wealthy person, like, okay, wealth distribution is going to happen, whether I like it or not.
Sort of the perspective that I understand.
Right. So which version do I want to just take? But like, if your goal is to help that list of individuals, I don't think that increasing the minimum wage actually helps them, because what do you want for that person? I think what you want is the supply of jobs to be significantly greater than that population of people. Because what happens in that scenario? And we had it during COVID times, and even post COVID times when we went through a boom. There was people looking for jobs, like where are the people? And they raised income. We saw that this business cycle is like an income-driven business cycle with
like pure,
significant raises.
During that time, pure capitalism, or like not pure, but like capitalism was such that like you could go work at a restaurant or a bar in like the places that I go, and you can make like $30-40 an hour during COVID. Like
Right.
But if you remove that time, because that was like a unique time, like I think like Armand said he was earning $5.75 an hour minimum wage at his time. Like Scott Galloway on a podcast said, like if you inflation adjust minimum wage to today, that would be like in the $15-20 range. So like other wages have increased during that time, except minimum wage, and now we like sort of adjust it to fair value normal inflation wise, and we think this is fucking nonsense. And it's like, but every other job gets like annual increases. Like I worked corporate before I started my own business, and I was like going in there and getting my annual raise and bonus, and like, here's inflation, we're going to adjust you up.
Very good point. Very good point.
But like the minimum wage didn't increase for like 15 years.
But the minimum
I mean,
wage
it has
is
been
the
increasing steadily.
Well, I think I'm
just not to the degree that you're describing that all other wages increased.
Yeah, and like don't quote me on this, but Scott Galloway on his like he was doing his like podcast tour. He said that was the inflation adjusted minimum wage. I didn't do the research.
Do we trust experts? I trust experts.
Okay. I didn't do the research myself.
I think he did a TED Talk. I trust him.
But I think that time is like a really good case study, because we saw what happens when there are more jobs than people to fill them, and the market like self-corrects. And when testing thesis like this, I like to take them in the extremes. So what would happen in one scenario A, where there's a $0 minimum wage, and one scenario where there's a $50 minimum wage? I think those are pretty large extremes. I think like in a $50 minimum wage, everyone would, be living well above their means. You'd probably see price inflation, obviously. But I think the amount of like economic destruction in terms of job loss and business loss would outweigh. I don't think any minimum wage worker in that scenario would like to live in that situation.
I agree, but I don't think that it's actually in this case instructive to go to the extremes. Because like I think in this case, if you can just inflation adjust, here's what inflation actually did, and take the minimum wage and just bring it to a normalized level, that's actually more accurate than going to extremes.
Let's say you took it to half of the inflation adjusted. What would happen? Like in my mind, there would be some exploitation, right, of like workers, like immediate drop to like $7.50 an hour. But there would be businesses that couldn't exist under like a $20 per hour minimum wage popping up. There would be more jobs. The supply would outpace the number of workers. And over time, like you would see people competing for the labor. Well,
I was actually thinking pretty esoterically about this, because like in a world where like where you don't have the government pressing their thumb on the scale and stuff, like I actually prefer that. Stephen's right. Like I am like a capitalist sort of black soul guy at heart. Like, but I think like when you go back to like robber baron era and stuff, like would you call labor force unionizing, is that like part of the capital market, like the capitalistic market? That's like a consequence of just like free
Exploitation.
right? Like, so there's exploitation, and then the response is, well, let's unionize,
Right.
And I think that's also like a ramification. And I think if you just like ignore it for long enough, then you get these unintended consequences where like I don't really know what they would be, but it
Yeah, and I get that. I think there's another aspect of like when you're thinking about the future generation. All of us started in minimum wage type jobs, and what you want is young people to be able to enter the job market very easily, right? Because like you want skill accumulation over time, and maybe some people won't accumulate skills. That part is a meritocracy, right? But you want young people to be able to enter the market very easily. But when you raise it to a $20 minimum wage, I think there are less opportunities for people with zero skills, zero experience, zero education to enter the job market, and you do
so
young
hold on.
people a disservice of
just
entering.
so I understand, that McDonald's job becomes actually kind of like a skilled job because somebody who's like real like new and entry level doesn't get the
Right, you have
$20.
supply and demand, lower supply of jobs,
Yeah.
same people who want the jobs.
Okay.
Maybe I'll take someone who
I could
has
see
a
that.
little more experience, but like, also is the 16-year-old kid with like zero any kind of experience.
Is he
like
worth $20 an hour?
$20 an hour?
Right. So
in
and-
parallel with technological advancements, like it's just I want them to have that.
Yeah, and dude,
Like we did.
I like that. I like that framework, and I really can't help but go back to what are our alternatives now, because like it's gonna happen one way or another. Like it's either gonna be okay. Let me even zoom out further. Here's what I'm afraid of. Like we talk about like the fourth turning. We talk about like Ray Dalio's like long-term cycle where we see like changing of the world order. We see like long-term changes right now. And what I'm afraid of is like when you've seen these like long-term pivots happen, they can get fucking ugly, right?
Right.
And when they get ugly, typically is when you have like a part of the population that feels like really fucking disenfranchised and like they're just like like foot on the neck and like, dude, this is gonna sound bad if I say this, but like I'm for helping people not be in a mode of like I need to take from you in order to survive.
Right.
Because like somebody who has like, I'd rather not have to like defend my property with my gun.
Yeah,
you know,
but I agree with you, but this is like backwards in like how you want to accomplish it. Because what gives like the main thing that gives people like satisfaction is like waking up and doing something every day. Like at least like having a job, some sort of purpose, right? So if you create a policy that like puts fewer people in the job, like you're already. That's why I think Mark Cuban's point is like stupid. It's like, yeah, it's true that like Walmart has employees who are on government assistance, but it's worse than that. It's like somebody who's completely fucking unemployed. Like that's also bad, and that's
Not
obviously
working at
worse.
all,
Like not working at all is like worse. Like I agree with you. Like I am totally in favor of some sort of like wealth distribution, but like also the reason like Tom Nam pointed out, like part of the problem is like the cost of living for people. But the reason the cost of living is so bad is like directly tied to like government intervention and a bunch of like why are houses so expensive?
Well,
government intervention.
yeah.
Right?
I mean, I agree with that, but like,
so we're just like, what if we just did more of it to solve it?
no, I know, but like, like some of these like low wage workers have no say in the Fed balance sheet and
I would rather
money
just
printing.
do UBI. Like
Ooh,
that's a
no.
less ham-handed.
I'll give you another alternative. How about a combination of employer tax credits and what is it? The earned income tax credit. So basically, an earned income tax credit is like if you are making below a certain threshold, and whether you're married or single or you have kids or not have kids, you get a tax credit back, and it's government funded, not employer funded. And then you incentivize employers, because most people don't know who have been working for a company for a long time, but employers pay taxes in addition to the taxes you pay for being an employer. And
Yes.
it costs a lot more than just your salary to employ someone. So a combination of employer tax credit incentives and earned income tax incentives that start, let's say, year 0 and fade out over 7 years. So like you're giving them an incentive to start it, and you give them time to like adjust over time to this, new threshold for paying people. And typically you don't get people pay decreases over time. Like you either like, keep them flat, raise them, or just lay them off or fire them.
And to be clear, I like everything you said better than UBI.
Okay.
I like what you said the best. I like UBI second, and I like just like arbitrarily meddling with prices in the market like the worst.
So
I think that's
there
the
is
worst option.
redistribution in that example. It is still tax funded, but I don't think you see the same amount of job loss that you would where it's all falling on the employer.
You would see it in the long term because you would like have businesses fail and they would just lay off everybody because like the tax burden would be higher, and then
You mean
you'd
like
be
they're
less-
not getting the tax credits anymore?
Well, I mean the bill's paid by somebody. You're saying your version is paid by the employer, so it's like a who started the business.
Yeah,
if
but
your
that variable's-
profitability is less, then you like more businesses fold. Those businesses employ people and they're no longer exist.
But I think like that's net equal because like in terms of the federal deficit or the state deficit, one, they're taking borrowing more money to pay the earned income tax credit, or they're earning less in tax income because there's less jobs with less tax income to come with it. So I think that variable is like relatively equal.
yeah, one way you can just pay the bill is just like borrow more. Like, that's
Yeah.
one way to do it.
Yeah, I mean they're going to do that regardless, right?
Yeah, and like
That's our base case.
yes, I agree with that. And our base case is also that like prices are going to increase regardless of wages too. Like
Touching tips.
so, like wage inflation is the stickiest form of inflation. But like inflation went to 9%, like without really like minimum wage contributing to that. So like.
I mean, there are like good pros to the pro minimum wage argument. Like we've seen, this hasn't been a credit-based business cycle, right? Where people are borrowing money to like scale the company or to like empower their purchases. They've
like
actually earned more.
It's been like an income based.
Yeah, labor has like beaten out capital for the last 3 years, which is something new we haven't seen in a while. And granted, it was probably fueled by like massive stimulus, or it was fueled by massive stimulus. But when you see that, we see like a pretty powerful economy that no one saw coming. So there are benefits. Like if everyone does earn more, it really propels.
Okay, the last thing I'll say about this, we can move on, but like the last thing I'll say is like in all of these iterations that you prefer, where you have the government as the middleman, where they like take from the rich, you give it to the middleman, and then the middleman redistributes it. I would argue that like the government has proven itself to be such a poor allocator of capital that like I prefer the minimum wage increase because it's like a direct transition from like people with money to people without money.
It's price fixing.
Fine, but it's like it's a direct. It removes the middleman, and the middleman cuts at the pie so much and leaks out the money so much.
I mean, the reality is there's like mixed results and mixed signals, like when you look at data. But I think both sides can make a pretty strong moral argument.
No.
For both sides.
No, one side's argument is fucked, right? Because the same fucking party that is like, we need to raise the minimum wage, it's just like letting millions of new supply of labor into the country, just pouring in. Just like, what the fuck do you think happens to wages when you just increase the supply? You can't have it both ways. Like, pick a side, right? This is why, like, Bernie Sanders was cool. Because Bernie Sanders was like, I would like to have higher wages for workers, and also I don't want immigration, right? And it was like, oh, all right, at least that's like a cogent position. This is like, I feel like I'm taking fucking crazy pills here. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, so we've like changed now the discussion.
Anyway,
But-
Pull the political Uno card out. Yeah.
But yeah,
But I like that point.
yeah, it's a good point.
It's well taken.
We can move on. All right,
Who
headliner.
wants to give an overview of Apple's WWDC? There's a lot of points.
There's a lot of points here. So Apple did their little WWDC thing, right? They had their little talk. Their handsome, gray-haired guys and their tucked in pants.
Did you see the waist level on his pants?
The waist level was
Right
Wait,
mid.
was Culture
It was
Critic
mid.
was Culture Critic gonna be proud of that?
Wait, are we
I don't
below
know, but
or
it
above
was-
naval?
He was right there.
I thought it was too
It was-
low.
I thought it was too low.
I thought it was too low. I thought it could have been higher.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always go higher.
Like
you
I'm
can always go higher.
I still sag.
convert
I
now.
still sag, boys.
Dude, I'm below the butt line.
I'm below cheeks.
Yeah, I'm below cheeks. Below
Anyway,
cheeks.
I don't want to color this discussion too much in advance with my summary, but Apple revealed a bunch of. First of all, they rebranded artificial intelligence to Apple Intelligence, which
Brilliant.
is just the most Apple thing of all time.
That's why they win.
They like Apple. I love this. They do this like whole grandiose thing where they get up and they just like announce features that like everybody else has already had for like 5 fucking years, and everybody's like,
Who's had this on their phones?
I mean, other tablets have had calculators.
That's not Apple
Wait,
Intelligence.
you guys
like-
have a calculator?
they're like, you guys can customize your home screen, and everybody's like, ugh. And then like all Android users have been able to do that since 2012.
We're
man.
conflating things already
it's
before
just
we
like-
even begin.
Anyway.
Is it true that Apple sandbags and launches like basic features very late and makes them sound revolutionary?
Yeah. Yes.
100%. 100% they're incredible at doing that, and it's like a joke when they do it. However, my
Give us your
reaction to the AI components of everything, which was like the last, quarter.
Yeah, they
last
sandbagged
fifth.
us.
They sandbagged us.
They did nothing. The stock was.
I
Just
was very
tanking,
impressed.
tanking, and
I was
then-
very impressed because they took something that is, it's one of those things that's extremely like right now in AI. A lot of the things that they want to do that they demoed are not a huge stretch.
Right.
And obviously these things were a demo, so how it plays out and what it feels like in the experience of that is what's going to be important. Will it actually be that when you utilize Siri, it will accomplish a sort of
She's
cross
not 27 IQ anymore.
app? Yeah, like will it actually be able to read your mail and your location and where you're going and check your email and send a message to your, aunt with the correct information? If it does, I think that's revolutionary. And no one else is doing that, and everyone was impressed by that.
Yeah.
And yet, that wasn't the most sophisticated AI. But the ability to do that, like there were so many articles from The Verge and this and that that came out and we were just like, this was so basic, this was so lame. And I think that Apple is actually proud of their position of it. It's like, this is complex stuff that we're going to roll out slowly and do it really, really well over time. So
I
don't
gotta
know.
tell, like I was
But
totally
the
like
calculator stuff was a joke.
the stock price just totally changed my perspective. At the end of the thing, I was like, oh, it's down 1%. Probably sucked. And then the next morning, it was up 7%. I was like, oh, maybe this is smart.
this is pretty
smart.
good.
But I do think.
Bro, it went up 15%. It was like a 15%
15?
God candle. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it went up that much.
That's why I was like,
okay, now it's even smarter.
I watched all this and I was like, this seems so stupid. And I looked at the chart and I was just like, well,
No.
I feel
It was
dumb
very
holding this
impressive.
position.
These WWDCs, they're covering iOS, they're covering Mac OS, they're covering iPad. But the key part that everyone was really waiting to see was like the
Okay,
OpenAI
what do you-
partnership.
Can we go
What's
through-
the AI going to be?
Can we
What
go
do
through
you
some
think
of the
is the
tweets and the
biggest thing that
features, or
happened?
like
Yeah.
can we go through some of the things that happened like on the tweets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what happened? Like what did they actually announce?
Forget
I mean,
this, like,
there's a lot of features. There's a
Well, let's just like scroll through some of what
there's a wallet feature.
Nah, forget that. Let's just go to like the AI stuff.
No, no, the AirPod thing was like one of the best features, and it's not AI.
What's that?
The ability, like when it, like Siri asks you something, you can just like nod your head. Yeah. That.
Is this so her, dude? It's so her.
Yeah, like that I was like, okay, it's a good feature. I like
Yeah,
that.
messages
Not
via
AI.
satellite. All right, AI, Apple Intelligence. I agree. So
Basic
built
proofreading.
in built-in AI editing, writing.
No more Grammarly.
Grammarly's dead. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that publicly traded? Can we short it?
Genmoji, like generating emojis, which is actually surprisingly, I think, happening on device. So huge conversation as well happening around what's on device, what's on servers. being sent to Apple versus what's being sent to OpenAI
What is the
servers.
cool thing that you're so pumped on?
But
Like,
it
what is
doesn't-
like the best thing?
It actually
What is,
was not an individual feature. It was the sort of like the cross application OS level
I mean, Siri knows what's on your screen.
horizontal. It was the horizontal AI across your entire phone. That was so impressive.
And it's I don't think it is one thing, but I
Yeah.
do wonder if this is the moment at which we start to see all the processing power happening on these servers and in particular these GPUs and moving to like smaller models that are happening on the edge in the node devices.
Ooh,
So in your
it's a great topic.
in your phone, in your laptop, in your tablet, and like only really calling to the server when it really needs to. I think I thought that was going to happen a lot earlier for some reason. But we did talk about in this podcast that like Apple has all your information, Google has all your information, and if you look at the mass population of people, I think they're going to likely trust one of those two personal assistants. And it's not one feature, but it is like an amalgamation to where you start to see the like ground bed for introduction of personal assistants that are like on your phone that can take actions for you.
Yeah,
And
but it's just like, it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be so sick. It's gonna be so sick. It's gonna be so sick. And then it's like, we can rewrite your email, and it's like, yeah, I could have just copy pasted it into ChatGPT. It's like,
But
it's
what
like,
about if I
it's
could just
not
say,
a 0 to 1
hey,
move,
can
know?
can you grab all the photos of me and my 3 friends that do a podcast? It would probably
Productivity.
figure that
That's
out.
exactly. This is one of the things I hate. They use these examples where you're just like, you can do all this stuff, and they're like, wow, that's really cool, and I would never do it. Like they had this
Dude,
example.
why don't
in
you
the-
just get an Android? Move on.
Bro, they had this example in the note page. He's taking notes and he draws he sketches like a picture of a dome, and they're like, look at this. Now in your notes, you can highlight that picture and it'll draw you a real dome using AI. And I'm
Yes,
like,
that
wow,
was
that's
stupid,
cool,
but
like,
that
who
that was
cares?
dumb. But
what if
that,
you could
that
like,
example
hey,
was
take
dumb.
all the pictures of my ex-girlfriend and just delete them for me?
Yeah, you can do that.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, like okay.
We'll find out if it actually
You know what
works.
I loved actually, small one but super powerful, is like recording your calls natively, and then like you're able to take notes and summarize natively in the Notes app.
Okay, that's
like, I'm actually
incredible.
like really excited for that.
That's
'Cause
really
now I
good.
don't need 2 different apps to do that.
That's really nice.
You know, there's multiple apps I've been using to do that kind of stuff.
Until I can
it's
talk to
about
Siri.
the OS itself getting better and more integrated. That was the upgrade.
No, this is about
that
them
is
giving
the
you.
upgrade.
It's like giving you hope. You're like, oh, they like just keep like, oh, but like until the point where I can pick up my phone and be like, call me an Uber and then like order me Chinese on DoorDash. Right? Like it's just
Well,
just
that
like
that part will
bells and
obviously
whistles.
come. That will
Right,
obviously
it
come.
will maybe. When though?
So-
When's it coming?
Jesus Christ, man! Does it all need to arrive tomorrow?
Give it a
it's
second.
like,
like
we're
low-
already on an
I hate about Apple.
exponential
They're like-
technological.
They suck so hard, and then they like do like the bare minimum, and everybody's
You
like,
keep shitting
oh
on
my
Apple.
God, it's coming.
You keep shitting on
It's
Apple.
coming.
Samsung is so far behind.
You know-
They don't have any of this.
Samsung let you customize your home screen.
I'm
like
not talking
10
about
years
the
ago.
damn home screen. They can't order you your Uber and your DoorDash by talking to it.
They
can't
can't
do that.
outsource your
God
email
damn it.
correction to ChatGPT.
You know what this reminds me of? Steven reminds me of like South Park. Like every episode that South Park came out with, they trolled themselves. They were like, Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it. Steven's like, Samsung did it. Okay, so can I ask a question? Do you guys know about like the back end? So like, does the AI, is that powered by OpenAI?
A lot of it happens locally, and it needs certain hardware. So you would have to
So it's
upgrade
it's
hardware
only the new phones.
that can do it. And then I think it's like when Siri's not smart enough, they make a server call to OpenAI.
And that might take a few more milliseconds or something.
Yeah, but like most importantly, you have to prove that like, hey, send my shit to OpenAI and
and
give
they
me a
have
response.
some deal with OpenAI, like, hey, we're going to send you this much data.
Yeah, and while the most of the processing's happening on the phone, I mean, OpenAI is going to need more GPUs to power all of Apple's.
yeah. Well, here's like my big takeaway of all this is like,
Buy more NVIDIA.
it's just like the data demand that we thought we would need is 10,000x. And like you brought up edge computing, like that is one solution, but there's also data center. Like we're just going to need so much fucking data, and especially when the fucking machines start talking to each other, like outside of
Are you
our
talking about
calls.
the energy in particular?
Well, I don't know if I want to go
let's
already
not
into
go there.
that, but yeah, I just like am already thinking like the data demand. I watched a presentation from Qualcomm like 10 years ago, and they called it the 10,000x data demand, and I didn't give it enough gravity. Like now I get it. It's like what we thought we needed. It's actually like a 1,000,000x data
But
demand.
Apple and Google are the linchpin because they actually own the devices, and maybe it's more of like Android manufacturers who use the Android operating system that need to upgrade. But like once they get the chips that are more powerful, then we'll see like mass spread of AI agents and usage where like everyone is using it every day. And I don't know. I don't know if it's going to cause like an upcycle, but I do know like I haven't bought. I think I still have like a 13 or 14, but I might be more likely to buy it if like I can start to use these.
Well, I thought that was actually
features.
pretty brilliant too, because like in
Boomers.
order to get
Gotta
the
have the
AI,
latest.
you got to
Come
have
on.
the latest.
But I
Like,
think it's actual technical limitation,
it's
right?
technical limitation, but I also think it's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
smart.
I love that. Like I just upgraded my phone for the first time in 4 years and bought a 14, and then
Oh, wait,
they're like coming to 15s. And
I
later. I'm just like,
cannot
all right, I
upgrade
just-
less than like once
give
a
up.
year.
Steven, I was actually gonna like high five you because I was like, we're still on the X's, and we can upgrade to this
Wait, you're
AI
on an
one.
X?
I have an X
Wow,
now.
I didn't know you were a fellow Xer.
Yeah,
Damn.
my
Wait,
upgrade.
what does that mean? An iPhone 10?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
my upgrade cycle. Like everyone
What are you
used
guys
to.
talking about?
Everyone used
No,
to
I
upgrade.
How can you live? How can you
It was
function?
fine. My life was totally
have an
unbothered. The only thing
iPhone
that bothered me was
13.
the fact that my battery died within 5 hours.
It literally does the exact
That sounds
same.
like a huge problem.
Right, but that's just like that's not like
That's
oh I
a
need all this tech. I
huge-
just needed a battery.
Huge
I
problem.
couldn't upgrade my
You
battery.
leave your
So I had to
house
buy a new
at 8
phone.
a.m. and your phone is dead by 1 o'clock, and you don't feel the need to
And
upgrade.
this is the brilliance
don't
of
have that
Apple.
problem.
They're like, instead of letting you just buy a new battery, we'll just force you to buy a new phone.
I don't have that problem. First of all, this was state of the art when I bought it. This was like the first $1,000 phone, right? I bought the state of the art thing. It was like years ago, but like at that time, everyone was upgrading their iPhone every year or 2 years.
Yeah.
But now the upgrade cycle has lengthened, right? Like nobody upgrades every
Not
year.
for me.
I mean,
I'm upgrading more often.
well, you're like a techno king, and
I am. I'm upgrading more often.
but I don't think you're
You
like
can't
a
upgrade more than once a year. They like put one phone out a year.
twice a
That's
year. I
what's
upgrade.
He's like, yes, I can. I've intentionally
different
bought
color.
a small screen.
I get a
and then
different
6
color.
months later, I upgrade to the big
No,
screen.
no. Max only. Once you go Max, you never go back.
Okay, so
Gotta go
but
Max
now
only.
I know that I have like
Also, you guys aren't even on the Max. Come on, man.
but I have
Hey,
a reason to
You
upgrade
gotta
now.
max it. There you go.
Like,
Yeah.
Nick's phone is what, a 13, you
Yeah.
said? Like, I don't think there's any difference between his phone and my phone in terms of like what we actually do.
I didn't,
Okay,
didn't realize
let's-
we all had like poverty phones.
Good
up
luck
here.
with your Google AI, guys.
Dude, I still drive a
you
car
know.
from 2001. Of
Okay.
course, I'm gonna have an old phone.
Okay, so
Literally the Warren Buffett of
AI
the group.
stuff aside, do you know what my favorite feature was of this? It was the ability to schedule iMessages.
Yeah, that is badass.
But
Loves that.
it started getting me thinking. Like it's like okay, so we're gonna get in a world where we can schedule iMessages, but then like the next thing is going to be like every single morning, send a message to my wife.
Yeah, they advertise
and
that.
say like
I love you.
something, a greeting
morning.
thing, right? But then it's just like, and then we're proofreading all our emails. We're changing, make this email this. But like, where does that end? Like, do we all just auto schedule messages to each other, and then like our AIs just talk to
Yes,
each
it
other? and
ends
then
with the intersection
Nick's
of,
like, yeah, get over.
of all sort of interaction being AI clones of
Oh, this is
you
gonna be
and
great.
your
So like
we
in
just
all of
loved
our
ones.
No,
We
in
don't
all-
And then you
exist
just
in the
get
digital
the
space, like,
distillation.
The
So-
digital space is just our own AIs just interacting with each
Totally.
other.
Oh yes, I can't wait. I
Yes.
can't wait. Like unburden
Totally.
me with like responding to text.
Well, you
That's-
don't do them anyway.
No, I know, but like, but I would respond if the AI would just handle that. And
you
then-
still don't
and it would-
respond, but someone
it would
else
say
does.
the same shit. It
What do you
would
mean
be
I
like-
would respond? You don't have to do anything.
But the AI would be like,
You just check in
it'd be
with.
like it would like take my vernacular. It'd be like, shut up, dork.
Like in the
You know,
future,
whatever
In
I
the
would
future,
say.
your wife needs like proof of thumbs. Otherwise, like the text is like
yeah, yeah, I can
All right,
see that.
I'm with
Your
Steven.
text gets a specific label when you really
yeah.
sent
This,
it.
this is an organic,
Yeah.
thumbed out text. Like I
Oh.
didn't even speak it. I
Yeah, it has
typed
like
it
a-
with my thumbs.
It's like hashed out on SHA 256.
I just want to be able to like advanced search through my text messages. The search
Yeah.
on iMessage is fucking
Oh,
horrendous.
so bad.
But let's get the chat involved because they got
Oh,
some opinions. Max says 100% agree with Armand. Fading this WWDC is incredibly mid-curve in my opinion.
It is, bro. It is. Come on, Apple's the pioneer. You gotta fucking.
I love when just people use that term mid-curve, like directed at us. I love that.
Tom says it may be
think it was
simple, but
directed
it's
at me.
practical
Yeah, it was
and actually what people would like. Continued
Yes.
tradition of delivering properly engineered UI over engineered competitors.
I like that too.
Max also mentions it has to be i15 Pro and newer only.
Wonder what this
Tom
is.
says, I can't wait to just
Get
be like,
scammed.
hey, book me an Airbnb flight within this budget. Corby says, Apple's doing what Nick said Google could and would do with AI. Steve Jobs' original version for AI back forever ago was for a real personal assistant. Oh,
This is what
I love this
everyone
one.
wanted Siri to be.
All right,
we
got
finally
it.
got
Nobody
Siri.
in the chat agrees with me. I
So
got it.
Calcium says,
Damn.
I need to do a Steven versus Steven 6 months from now when he's saying how amazing his phone is now. Argue
Yeah.
with Steven from this episode.
That's good.
Dude, the chat has been on
Calcium,
fire.
you won't need to wait 6 months.
Chat's been very good on this episode. Damn, they like chat a lot of good points.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. I mean, our Android brethren are somewhere out there, and I'll be honest, most of them have the strong opinions and continue to always find ways to shit on Apple. But I had 4 different conversations this week with like the most hardcore Android friends, and they were just like, Armand, I think I need an iPhone. I want that. And then one of them, my co-founder, was like, I wish Windows still made phones. I wish Microsoft, because remember the Windows phones back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
I had one of those when I worked at Singular.
You had a Windows
Yeah,
phone?
yeah.
Holy.
And like the fact that Windows doesn't even have
Surprised you
like
didn't tell
a
him to get out of the room.
partnership. Like the fact that Microsoft is not
floored.
even getting the latest and greatest from OpenAI is incredible.
Oh,
They continuously are getting snubbed.
Wait,
and
so
they own
Microsoft-
49% of this company.
And they're not getting the tech.
They
you
don't
know what
get
they're
the-
stoked about though? Microsoft is stoked that they have like a relationship with Apple like this because what they really want long term is to power Safari default search because that makes tens of billions of dollars a year. Google's owned that for a long time. I doubt that they'll get usurped, but maybe someone at Microsoft is like,
Dude,
we got an in,
Surge-
boys.
No, Surge is going to get disrupted before fucking they get Bing. Like,
and maybe they're going to be disrupted with like a company that Microsoft owns 49% of.
maybe.
Maybe.
All right, before we move on to the next topic, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Magic Spoon. Thanks for sponsoring the podcast. Check out magicspoon.com/alfalfa. You can eat it. Oh, Steven's going to model it for us. Very
eat
nice.
it?
Oh, you're just going to eat the snack.
He's hungry.
Wow.
We've been drinking
Can
100
you give us
proof.
some ASMR of eating? No, please don't. That was a joke.
Oh.
I do prefer it
joke with
out of the box more than with the milk. Not a milk guy.
You know, this particular box of Magic Spoon is not as crunchy as it used to be.
Well, you know why? Because we've used this for the podcast.
This
It's
has been a prop for a long
It's a
time.
prop at
hasn't
this
it?
point.
What flavor you got there?
I've got the frosted.
Wow.
Okay. So there's
You're
cocoa,
only
fruity.
consuming 4 grams of carbs,
That's right.
and you could be consuming 32.
What do you
How
got? You want to
dare
read
you.
off the nutritional label there?
Grain-free.
How many
gluten-free.
calories?
Grain free. What's it made out of?
140 per cup.
Not
What's the-
grain, bro.
What's the top 3 ingredients on there?
Oh, good question. Milk protein.
Okay.
What are the ingredients? Monk fruit,
Oh,
Monk fruit.
monk fruit.
Never
Yeah.
had that in my life.
tapioca starch.
These are typical like sugar replacements, I think.
Right.
Yeah, fascinating.
So high protein, keto friendly, gluten friendly, grain free. What else is on that side of the box there? Keep it. No, show me the other side.
What side?
It's the
Oh,
back.
oh, you needed this.
I
Sorry.
just needed
stole
this
your
side
crib
of the
notes.
box.
I ate your
Wheat
notes.
free, naturally flavored, totally delicious childlike cereal for grown-ups
That's
or your
right.
kids. Yeah. Anyway, so buy the variety box. If you use the code Alfalfa at checkout, you get $5 off. And yeah, if you or the kids don't like it, they give you your money back. And Steven is doing proper case study.
It's really
material
good,
right now.
even when it's like 6 months old.
Well, thanks Magic Spoon for sponsoring the pod. We love you much. Okay. What's
All
our
right.
What's our Von Deeper for today?
Wait, hold up.
What?
You're not
Are we
done.
gonna
are
talk
you?
about the retention?
Oh, do you have the?
Did we put it in?
retention?
Yeah.
Or like our user data?
Yeah.
Sure, we can talk about retention.
But we don't have a
Oh,
screenshot.
we don't have the screenshot.
No.
We have a chart for you.
Save it for next time.
Can we
we had
pull
a
it
good
up?
chart.
It's
Do you
in
have
the
the chart?
chat. It's in the GC.
Is it in the chat?
Yeah, but how do I
Oh.
pull that up?
We just wanted to give a shout out to you guys because we checked
It's
our.
not the same without the chart.
Dude, we have to have the chart.
Gotta have the
It's not
chart.
the
Can't
same
you
with
just
the
pull it
chart?
up on Anchor right here and just like show that one thing?
He's got to access one password. It's a thing.
It's multi-step.
We can just do it next time.
I thought we said we were going to screenshot it and put it in the thing.
Not everything magically just happens, you know. We gotta.
Well, you know,
I thought we said.
I thought
We
I
had an
told you
accord.
to do that thing.
How do I? Can I text myself on here? No.
No.
It's all
Can
right.
I? Next
We-
time. Next time.
We'll
Samsung
talk about
Give
did
a
it.
teaser. Give an announcement of the
Teaser.
announcement.
You guys are incredible.
Give an announcement of the
The
announcement.
listeners of this podcast.
Our
An
retention.
amazing-
What Steven's trying to say
amazing
is
attention
we were
span.
blown away consistently, episode to episode. We looked at the charts of retention of percentage of listeners.
The algo. The
at-
algo looked
yeah.
at it.
I mean, Nick had a raging hard on. The percentage of listeners
at this
that stayed
retention.
on like after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. Our episodes have been getting long sometimes, and you all are on the entire way through. And thank you for giving us your attention. And thank you for supporting
Yeah, I don't
the
think there's
pod.
many. I don't think there's many pods out there that go 2 hours plus and like maintain the retention numbers.
Yeah, like we're basically like what we found in the charts is like if you're making it past the first 5 minutes, you're basically on the entire time. We have like a very very small like the chart even on one of them was just like flat all the way across. So
Yeah, incredible.
30%
80,
of you are
75,
dropping off in the first
80%.
5 minutes. Who are you?
yeah.
Who are you?
They're like,
Thank-
look at these four ugly dudes. I'm out here.
Honestly, thank you for your download.
But then the rest of you are just like hooked the whole time.
It's like 75, 80% are just like sitting there the whole way through. Pretty
It's
amazing.
amazing.
There's no other content medium in the world in which that is true. None.
Yeah, I think like we
not
have.
TikTok, not
I think our
not you-
Discord is like the best place on the internet, and I think that just kind of shines through in our user data on the pod. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
All right, who wants to tee up Life's Luck Lottery?
Do you guys remember who suggested it?
I think it was Steven because I'm looking at his write-up.
No, it was somebody.
It's someone
from
somebody
the
in the
community.
Discord suggested it.
Oh, someone in the Discord.
It was
suggested
so
it.
many weeks ago now.
Maybe
'cause we never
Tunsky.
got to it. No, it wasn't Tunsky.
All
Okay,
right,
well,
should I
I'll-
read the write-up?
sure, go. It's right here.
It
On
says,
this.
I'd
You
be
got it?
fascinated in discussion on luck and the lottery of life. I bias towards determinism, but even without that, I believe there are certain factors that free will could never influence in a person's life, such as where you were born, your general IQ, your parents, and the surroundings in which you developed. Based on these examples, I'd love to hear you contemplate luck's factor in leading you to where you are. How did it shape how you view those born into alternative circumstances? Does it affect your actions? If you do disagree with any or all of this, I'd love to hear about that too.
I guess the TLDR of this is
TLDR. I want to sink into my chair for this.
it's Von
Well,
Deeper. We don't
It's Von
TLDR.
Deeper. We don't TLDR.
know,
I'm
but he's-
TLDRing the prompt.
Okay, fine.
Still, oh my God.
Well, thank you for your clarification. I got a little nervous.
Excuse me, sir. We don't TLDR.
We just talked about how we go for
Please,
hours.
sir, I want some more.
Oh my.
Okay, what's the TLDR of the
God.
prompt? Prompt me, prompt engineer.
Prompt me, daddy.
Talk about the job title that is so overstated.
You know what? Just
Professional question asker.
just rant.
Yeah,
Just rant.
no, give us the
Armand.
prompt,
no, just
Steven.
go.
Just
no,
rants to me.
just
give us
roast
the
Steven.
prompt. Yeah, I like that.
I
like
think what this fellow, and I'm so sorry I forgot who wrote this because again it was like a month ago because we never got to it, is asking is like how much of your success in life is due to you and your hard work and the decisions you make and all of these things versus just like, did you just get lucky? What is that breakdown? What do you think, Armand?
I don't know if we should start with me. I don't like starting.
You don't like starting?
I mean,
I like gathering. I like gathering your thoughts.
There's easy wins here, right?
Look-
like if you divide the world into zip codes, obviously we hit like a zip
I'm
code
so
lottery.
glad you're doing this, by the way, because the first thing I did when I saw this prompt was I went into like ChatGPT and I was just like, what are the odds of being born as like a male in the United States of America with an income of greater than this and this and then and
What'd you get? Was it similar to our delusional calculator that showed you're 0.001% of the male
so
population?
it was higher than I thought it would be. One of the things I did, it was like 3 or 4% or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was gonna tell me like 0.3%. But like still, like even with that as the baseline, if you kind of isolate some of the big things like where you're born and the income you're born into and stuff like that, it still is like a bit of a long shot.
Yeah, I mean, like I think you're undoubtedly winning the lottery if you are born in a country that hit the geography lottery, right? Like, in particular, like the United States has like all the amazing things. It has like land to like produce most of its own resources, whether that's food or energy. It has like transportation, water systems. It has like two huge bodies of water that protect it. So like, yeah, if you're born there, you're more likely to be born in like a prosperous economy. So I think that one's easy. You can wipe that off the board. There's X% of luck.
I'm just doing the mental math on what I just said, and I'm just realizing that it actually doesn't make any sense at all.
But maybe they were talking about developed countries, right? Like Canada. Maybe if you consider Mexico, although they're assassinating all their political candidates.
I wouldn't
Europe?
I wouldn't put Mexico in there. Sorry,
Okay.
Mexico.
You ready?
Is that enough?
I'm ready for you.
No, I have a pretty hot take on this.
I love.
I want to
this.
hear the hot take. Give me
Okay,
the hot
so-
take first.
So here's what like I think about sports more than you guys, and like I'm gonna start with this. So like I think that like with athletics, you're born with a range of outcomes, right? Like I could never play in the NBA, no matter how much I trained. I just couldn't do it. Like I'm not athletic enough. But I think with like success or like knowledge, it's a completely different thing, right? So like sometimes I think like I might be like a smart guy, right? Sometimes I think I might be a smart guy, but then other times like I'll like actually look at that, I'll like isolate that and be like, well, maybe I was just like exposed to knowledge early, like exposed to certain knowledge early, and that has like a massively compounding effect. Like when you're like the smartest kid in your kindergarten, then like you're probably gonna like get exposed to knowledge that's like different than the other kindergartners, and then that leads you to first grade, and you're the smartest kid in first grade, and then like it just compounds.
Positive feedback loop
Yeah,
as
it's
well,
like
yeah.
it just totally compounds on itself. Now, granted, I was privileged in life that I could like learn in kindergarten. Some kids like literally don't have the luxury to like go to kindergarten or learn or whatever. But like with the internet and like with the fact that like you can have access to knowledge, I feel like everyone can be sort of like LeBron if you start early enough, which is different than athletics, because athletics I am literally bounded by what I'm born with. But like with this knowledge, it's actually like this stuff compounds, and if you start early enough and you're good enough and you just like keep on going and going and going, like you have no limit.
Yeah, and so the ability to have the opportunity to have that knowledge probably depends on like your geography, your parents, the socioeconomic status of those parents to some degree. And then maybe the counter argument to that would be something that Thomas Sowell says, which is like, look at two identical twins that have the same genetics. They grew up, their behavioral environment is the same. They grew up in the same socioeconomic status. They potentially learn the same things along the same way, but then end up in two very different outcomes, however you want to define success as. So, but if you look at those two, that is the range of outcomes, and it's probably higher than like someone who didn't hit the geography lottery or grow up in a lower socioeconomic status.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, there are like certainly like exogenous elements. So like Warren Buffett has said, like I went to his like shareholder meeting, and at this one, he's like, guys, I'm lucky. Like I'm lucky I'm born where I'm born and at the time I'm born. because like we have a stock market, and this like suits my intellect. Like imagine if I was born where we had to fight with swords. Like I'm worthless. You know, like I'm just like not able to be the best
That's
at what I
interesting.
do.
So
like like there is luck also, like time, place, whatever.
Yeah.
Is there like a factor of if your mindset is that you're lucky, you know, to grow up however you grow up, whether that's relatively poor and destitute or otherwise, does that play, or is that still fit within your framework where like you have a trajectory of outcomes low and high, and if you maybe take that positive mindset that like,
Kidding me? You can be thrown in a dumpster the day you were born and still become one of the most successful people in the world. So I think mindset might be one of the most important.
Yeah, I don't think there's
factors
a
ever.
ceiling on anybody.
And by the way, that was Oprah.
That's my point. I don't think there's a ceiling on anybody's
Whoa.
success.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
There's not a ceiling on anybody's like knowledge or success, but obviously there's different starting lines. You know, like some
Yeah.
people start ahead of each other.
Yeah, the example of the Thomas Sowell thing is so good because it's like it shows you the range of what's possible, like in one household between two siblings. And then the spectrum increases once you obviously get outside of the household and you get from country to country. Or so I loved your, like, let's start with the basics of like, where were you born?
right?
Like that's a huge factor. I think for me, what I've been thinking about with this topic is that we overemphasize nature as the factor, and we underemphasize the importance of nurture. So I think that nature is extremely like, and by nature I mean like the cards you were dealt. So those cards are really, really important, but I think a lot of people view them as like fixed and that they ultimately like shape your outcome more than you would like.
Are you saying nurture is like the things you have agency over as an individual, and the things that are not are
your
nature?
environment
Okay.
and your own will?
So you think we overvalue nature?
Yes.
Interesting. I have the opposite take.
Yeah, I really do. And I think that it's a huge factor and a huge limiter. Like social science shows us that the zip code you grew up in is one of the most important factors. Lately, they're discovering that the parents of the friends that you have are the most important factor because they influence you more than your own parents, which is another way of saying your zip code influences you. So the people you are around, the ideas you're exposed to, if you were taught chemistry in kindergarten, like Eric or whatever, you know, basic doing these fun little exercises, and you're like, was I genetically born with this intellect?
That's what.
Or did I gain this intellect as a result of my environment? Or did I gain this intellect as a result of my own will, like the movie Whiplash?
But 2 and 3,
you know?
2 and 3, like what you just said, 1 is nature, 2 and 3 are both nurture. Like whether it's your own will or not, it's
Exactly.
like you're not born with it.
So like Whiplash, like he wanted to be like the greatest musician ever, but he wasn't born to
Spoiler
musician
alert,
parents.
I've never seen it.
Well, that doesn't give anything
I
away.
watched it 2 weekends ago because you guys kept mentioning.
Oh, you
it.
did?
Oh. Yes, he hated it. She's like, what?
She hated Whiplash?
Well, she was just like, I don't know. This guy's just banging on the drums
What
all
is wrong
all
with
movie
him?
long. It's like kind of annoying and loud.
Why does he care about drums so much?
It's like go to Eric after the movie. Why is Eric? Why is everyone yelling? Why is this guy drumming? That's so good.
But it locked me in. It totally locked me in.
That's so good.
And the
We should
ending was
not
so good.
watch great movies with our wives. Eric has similar reactions to movies.
She's like, movie
So-
looks old.
He looks so old.
It's like 2003, and Eric will be like, "Is this one of those old movies?"
Yeah, what do we need? We need
You
like
you were impressed,
I was like, I'm not that level, but like, I think everyone
but it was inspiring.
who has like an external locus control can see a little bit of that guy in them in terms of like,
Yeah, like
I will
like
make this
He
happen.
wanted to be the greatest jazz drummer of all time. His father was a teacher. He had nothing in his environment. Nothing. Like he wasn't born into music. He had no mentors. He had no nothing. So will, your individual will. So I do think that we underemphasize. It's not that we underemphasize the impact of nurture on someone's life. It's that that the spectrum of possibility of what it can create and cause to your life is much more impactful with nurture and environment and will as it is with nature. In other words, what I'm saying is your nature, while it can define you, is not fixed, obviously. We have seen so many instances of incredible people that build amazing lives from terrible environments.
Can I isolate one thing just to like further emphasize your point? Like, I think with like intellect, that's like the best example because like we tend to attribute that to nature. Like someone is smart and they're born that way. But I actually think like the example I gave before, it's like if you have this kid and you teach them earlier than everybody else, knowledge compounds. And then like the way that kid learns in a compounding manner over time is making connections, like in a way that like the result, like somebody would look at that and be like, that kid's really smart.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with how he's born.
It kind of, to even dig into that nuance more, like genetically, like you look at a family sometimes and you're like, oh my God, this whole family's brilliant. They're all high IQ. You can just tell, right? It's real. They have high general cognitive intelligence, high IQ across the board. But then there's instances where they aren't high IQ, but the child was placed into specialized learning, and that specialized learning becomes like the embodiment of high IQ. But really what it is like this person could be paid infinite dollars for what they do because they're world class at it. And that's just as good to be world class at a niche as it is to just be generally smart. So many people with high IQ that are generally smart do nothing with their lives.
Totally.
But if you're born into an environment where it's like, we're going to learn the violin and we're going to be the best of the violin, you didn't have the highest IQ from a genetics perspective.
You had like low SAT scores or something.
But you could be
just like
phenomenally
the best
successful.
violinist of all time. Yeah.
You could be so
Can I give a personal anecdote? Because I think it's like in the messy gray part of like nature and nurture as far as what you're talking about. So I think in like first grade, I was pretty terrible. It's called below average at math. And then my mom made me go to Cuban, which is basically like a second school you go after your normal school and you do additional like homework. Once a week you go there and do it. And then every night you have like additional homework, math homework, and parent has the answer book, marks it, and you don't go. And she was hardcore at making sure I did it. Well, I mentioned this before on the podcast, like whether it was like we were on vacation or camping, I couldn't leave the tent or like, couldn't do anything until that was done. And so I wasn't born with those skills, but I was born with a mom who was like, you're going to do this.
Right.
And you're going to keep doing it. And I think I did it till like the 9th grade, basically. And I think to the point where I got in the 5th grade, 6th grade, math was like a snooze fest because like I had accelerated more from that extra work than most kids had. And, you know.
And that's like the luck is that you were born with a mom who pushed you in certain directions, and that's nurture, not nature. But we attribute luck always to nature. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you were born with this gift. But like in this situation, the luck was like, no, you were born with an environment that supported you. Right?
Yeah, it's like in the middle, right?
It's kind of in the middle. It's like some people might argue that's the luck part.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it was like that's part of the cards you were dealt. It was like a supportive mother.
I guess the luck is the zip code.
Yeah, or just the people around you.
Do you think there's like this like behavioral fallacy that we fall into that we would most likely naturally like to think we have more agency than we do? Because isn't there a little cognitive dissonance with that? Like where, especially for people who are, ambitious, you would like to think that like you have more control than you do.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
In what
like
sense?
Someone who's ambitious doesn't really want to be like,
No,
I don't have control.
No, I like to think that I have full agency and like I determine my outcomes. But like there's a lot of determinism.
So there's a little waiting there. You have to like, maybe the four of us would be more likely towards determinism because, I mean, you'd feel a little helpless without it. But it seems like you, Steven, you're more on the, like, you don't weight the agency as much as maybe some of us.
How dare you ask him?
I've been thinking about this a lot actually, and I think it's like a really hard question.
Yeah,
Like on the one hand, like I actually disagree with Armand. Like I think that a huge chunk of who you are is like predestined and written into your genes. And
Just genes only.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that the nurture part, while it can make an impact from that starting point of when you were born, like a lot of this is like, where do you draw the starting point? Are you lucky given when you were where you were born, and then thereon? Are you lucky given like the time that you were born in? Like, are you lucky that you just exist as life on planet Earth, given the improbability of like you just keep going back and back and back, right? And then like everything is like infinitely improbable.
What do you think is like? What do you think is like written into the genes? So like you're male, you're like a certain height and
Health.
health. You like have a ethnicity, like that's like written into the genes, right?
I think how intelligent you are is written into your genes. I think how hardworking you're going to be is written into your
I think
genes.
when you say
like,
intelligent, I
Those
think
are
what you,
huge statements.
I think what you mean is like the ability to uptake new information is probably written in the genes, but how you use that tool is completely how you use it.
I think this is like a nuanced thing. I think on the one hand, like a lot of people who are very smart and successful and intelligent, I think they're predestined to be that way. And I think they overemphasize like how much of where they are is actually a result of like what they did versus like all of these sort of like lotteries that they won. On the other hand, anybody also has the ability to take that and squander it. And anybody also has the ability to get the short end of the stick and through like sort of sheer determination of will, I think, like make themselves into anything, at least in this country, right? And in most, I don't know about most of the world, but like I think like you agree that there are just parts of the world where you are just screwed, right?
If you're stuck
you
there,
just are.
yes.
Yeah. So maybe it's like a better discussion to like isolate it to like, okay, you're born into America. Like
Let's isolate it
20
there.
years ago or
Let's isolate
something.
it there because I just want to focus on this one thing, this like intellect thing.
Yes.
What I actually, if I would just like simplify it straight down, it's like somebody who's like born smart can learn something faster than another, but it doesn't mean that they learn more than another because
Doesn't mean jack shit.
because the guy who learns more puts in volume and effort and whatever, and like the guy who can learn faster might not put in volume and effort. So like the guy who learns more ends up being smarter because you have more
Compounds,
knowledge,
as you said.
yeah, you have more knowledge, you can make more connections and like be smarter.
I think like raw. I think what you're talking about is like raw horsepower that you're
Yeah.
born with in your genes, and I think it matters in the extremes, right? Like, yes, there are extreme situations where people are born with that raw IQ horsepower, and there are also extremes where people are just not, and there's no. It's really hard to change those outcomes, but I think the significant majority of the middle, the 95% in the middle,
Exactly.
like you could most definitely change that person with like a mid-curve.
Yeah, these people that are
IQ
born
and
into
turn
like
them-
incredible, environments and born with high intellect, that's rare. That's
like when you
like
say
a rare
someone is
faction
smart,
of
do
society.
you think like, oh, they got blessed with genes, or
I'm
like,
not talking about that.
okay, I
Right?
thought.
Did you guys read Freakonomics back in the day?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure did. I
Do you
love
remember,
that.
Do you
at the
remember
time.
the chapter on winner lane and loser lane?
No.
No, I remember the abortions in like
Yeah,
New
all I
York
remember is
City.
abortions.
Oh, that thing tilts me. But we're not going to go there.
Okay.
So there was a story about these two brothers, Winner Lane and Loser Lane, whose dad, I guess, was a dick, right? But they grew up kind of same household, same everything. But then I think Winner Lane ended up in jail and Loser Lane ended up like very successful, right? And why was that, right? They had the same everything. Like was like Winner Lane just predestined to sort of be, or like was he predisposed to just be a loser kind of because of his genetics?
But wait, aren't you like countering your argument?
Yeah,
How?
don't know where you're going with that.
Well, you're saying that like genes have more to do than your
I'm
nurture.
saying like if you isolate like same environment and everything,
Oh.
even to the point where you
No, those are same genes, not same environment. Like
Right.
that's also same genes.
same
There's the
genes,
same testicle and
look,
same
your,
ovary.
Your brothers, you're raised in the same household, right?
That's not
At
same
the top
genes.
of it, like
No,
your
it's-
dad names you fucking
No,
winner, and you
I
still
think it's
end up in
more
jail.
it's more akin to same nature than it is the same nurture because like those two brothers could have completely different interests and like have different friend circles or whatever, but they can't change the fact that they're both born from the same nutsack.
Look, but I'm not talking about that at all, right? And I know that God Sod is a big proponent of this, right? He's a big proponent of this idea that like you guys like way underestimate like how important your genetics are in determining who you're. Like you way overstate the importance of nurture. Like for example, like he said, like I know in his work, he's a big proponent of the idea that like in certain instances, like there's just like no amount of nurture that is going to save you. Like a lot of it is like actually encoded into who we are. I don't like that message. It feels like very disempowering, but
I think that is correct mathematically
Yes,
speaking.
I was going to say the same
So
thing.
I think my position either was unclear or getting twisted. It's like mathematically speaking, probabilistically speaking, of course, like by sheer numbers, of course. What I mean when I say that we underemphasize the factor that nurture plays and will plays and environment plays in our lives, it means that it doesn't mean that that's actually occurring. It means that it's possible and that we underemphasize the impact that it has if you utilize it. Most people do not utilize it. But if you utilize it, it is way more impactful than your code that you were born with. That's the position I'm trying. But like mathematically speaking, no question.
Yeah, dude,
no
okay.
question. Nature is like that's the cards you're dealt. For 98% of you, that's going to
Like,
be your
our
life.
experience, just the four of us, is going to be shaped, mathematically speaking, just like with our experiences, by the fact that we were born where we're born. We're born in the United States. We're males. Like, our experiences are going to be mostly shaped by those baked-in genetic factors. I completely agree that, like, mathematically speaking, those have like the biggest impact. But on the unknown variables, like there are like so many ways that you can.
The X factor.
Yeah, like you can impact that on nurture.
Nurture definitely matters, right? Because I know like Thomas Sowell, for example, has published a lot of info about like there's direct correlations between like the number of words that a child hears in the household and their ability to read, write, do good in school, right? So I'm not saying those things like they obviously make an impact from your starting point, but there is like a real impact of your genetics on your starting point. But like a big philosophical question to ask is like, so what? Like everything in the world is just plopped down in some random starting point, and it's like, what do you do? Like
Exactly.
people
Yeah.
are all over the place. Do you sit there and just bitch that your starting point sucks, or do you just
to
like
your
have
point,
the will to?
God
to
saw
do
is
things?
right, but it's kind of just like a dark and unhelpful position to hold
At-
as a philosophy
at-
of like doesn't help.
At what age do you think that shifts? Because, like, you know, Eric's talking about there's a compounding effect, and I talked about, hey, my mom put me on Kumon
Yeah.
at like an early age. But at what age do you think you actually have the agency to like change your trajectory?
Yourself, the person has
yeah, like,
agency.
because you know you got this compounding effect maybe to the age of 13, or is it 16, 18?
No, I mean the
it
compounding.
7 years
the
old?
compounding effect, like you benefit for the rest of your life. But
You
when you
do, but
but
there's-
when you get the agency, like when it hit me, was in college when I met you guys. Like that was when I like decided I was like, oh, I'm actually gonna like try.
But yeah,
Well, I
what-
think
do you
people are
guys remember the
shaped
age
so
which you
early.
were like, I'm gonna try to like change my trajectory.
Yes, very specifically. I was 16.
16.
It was like coming to Jesus moment. Yeah.
I think
I
I
was like, I go this way, it's over. Well, I had the like, I go this way, I live the easy life. I go this way, it's over, and I go this way, and it's very hard, and it's long term happiness.
I think mine
and
was-
I was like, I'm gonna do the hard
Yeah.
happiness.
I think mine was 17 when I got in a new city and I was like at college and I was like, okay, like these are my decisions now. And I was like, well, am I going to continue the path of like discipline and hard work, or do I just want to fuck off? And there was clearly this like muscle behavior that was like, no, we're going to try to like move it in a different direction. What about you, Steven? Was there a certain age when you were like, okay, like I'm going to try to move my own needle?
I was just always a fucking nerd, honestly.
But wasn't there a decision point where you like, you know, what college I'm going to go to is usually like maybe some point?
I don't
Or-
know. I never had a point in my life where I was like on some, and I just was like, I have to get on the straight. Like I was just always like I had a problem when I was like younger, but I was just like chronically obsessed with like doing well. Like even when I was like a small kid, like when they would give us like those little like assessments that they would give us and stuff, like I would just be like, I have to be in like the top 1 percentile.
That's
like
adorable.
I was just
But
always,
that might have
for
been
some reason I was
that might have been
always,
your
like,
nurture
fixated on
because
that.
like you started off in a better place and you
I
learned
Yeah,
number one
I
position.
think we're underemphasizing.
No, I think you're right. Like I think I had a thing crossed up where like I like in my brain like love was like contingent on my like success, and for me success
Yeah.
was like scoring.
I like that.
You're definitely correct that that's what I did, but then like that just became my default method of operation. And then like in college, like I had a break where I went the other way for a bit. Like after I went through that whole journey and got into school, like I basically like dropped out of engineering and just played a lot of beer pong and got into professional gambling, and like I just was just like I'm tired, and I like went the other way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that the peaks of your despair like led to the Phoenix Rising.
And now
Yeah.
we're all back to
In
just
a weird-
professional
in a weird
gambling.
way, yeah. I mean, life's funny, man. It's like it's a trip.
All right, can we get some chat effect in before we kind of
good chats in here.
All right, let's see where Hookem says, how lucky did you have to be that one sperm? Tom says, hard work prepares you to act on the luck you are fortunate to receive. Corby says, I love Eric's compound interest take on life, luck, and Tom's hard work, Kager, on top of it. We got some other takes. Tom also says, we're also just squishy AI models, some with better design. Maybe that's because of nature, but nurture is so critical. Pilgard says, I'd say life comes down to one's ability to analyze information and to take action based upon that information. Most people don't take action at all. They're just constantly reacting to life. Yeah, I like the chat's takes.
I really like Eric's point, I think, in all this.
Like,
about compound growth. Because no matter where you are, right? Like, it's this thing about Warren Buffett, where, like, now every day Warren Buffett wakes up, he's worth, like, an extra, like, $200 billion or something stupid, right?
Because compounding has gone so dramatic.
But if he started investing when he was, like, 22 or something instead of when he did, he'd be, like, way less richer today, and, like, every day would have, like, way less of an impact.
What if I told you were, like, inflation adjusted as rich as Warren Buffett at the age 30? Would that tilt you?
I wouldn't. I would be honored if I was.
I think that might have been the case.
It might be.
I mean, for a lot of people it is.
Yeah.
But he continued making those good decisions.
Right.
The point is, it's like
And it
the
continued
earlier
compounding.
you just get on the road and just make any sort of good, like you just start compounding, and then the earlier you start compounding, once you get going,
And I also
everything
think
is just.
And I also think there's like a relative factor. Like if you can start compounding relative to your peers, like from kindergarten, preschool, then it becomes an identity too. It's like you're like the smart one, and then like that has a compounding
I
effect.
agree. The feedback you get,
Yeah.
I think, is more impactful.
It's like self-fulfilling.
because it becomes part of your identity, and the
Yeah.
thing that people will act most on is sticking to their identity. You consider yourself the like rich, successful person. You'll do anything. You'll sacrifice everything else to keep your identity.
Arguments for nurture.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
personal development 101. Create an identity that you want to uphold and you want to be held accountable for.
Well, should we maybe thank Bob for nurturing a fun podcast?
Polished.
Thank you, but
Polish the kernel.
yeah, nurtured a great conversation, Bob.
Colonel Taylor.
Yeah, this is
gone.
tasty, and it's all gone. Yeah, we had fun with this conversation. If you guys thought it was fun too, maybe share the pod with a friend.
3450. Share with a friend.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's okay. I'm going to get canceled anyway, so
Luis-
it's fine. It's fine.
Voudon.
It's fine.
Search Russell Peters
Russell Peters,
3450.
OG
Is it
stand-up.
3250 or 3450?
3450. It was
It's
dead on.
It is
Indian
30
and Chinese negotiation.
3450.
It is epic.
Yeah, search like first stand-up.
Yeah.
He's wearing a white button-down shirt, and it's like an hour-long stand-up, and it's one of the greatest stand-ups ever. It's so good.
Awesome. Well, we love you guys. Thank you for joining us. Share the pod if you like. And yeah, we'll catch you next week. We love you lots, guys.
I don't want to leave yet.
See you next time.
I don't want to go.
Bye.
Bye.